Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Hello and welcome to the grand finale of season number 18 for the RaceKraft V8 Veterans. It's the final time we're going to go racing for this season, and it'll be the final time you're going to be sitting alongside of myself, Mez, and Dan Yeaman. Dan, I think, will be back for next season, but I'm only here so I don't get fined. And Mez, that's a quote from something. You're going to have to explain this reference, Mez.
Whose house? No one's gonna. Ah, damn it.
No.
Where's Will? I need Will. He'll back me up on what that means. Oh, man.
Can you at least explain the source of the reference so I can go and educate myself?
Okay, it's an AEW thing. There's a wrestler named Swerve Strickland. When he comes out, everyone screams "Whose house?" and then everyone responds as Swerve's house. So yes, I had to exit on a wrestling quote.
Yeah, the reason I'm not coming back is they couldn't pay me enough to sit alongside of Mez on a Thursday night. But, ladies and gentlemen, we have got the season finale of the ages before you, because for the first time in a very, very long time, the points are closer than you might think. We've been scratching our heads, looking at spreadsheets and stabbing at numbers until, of course, they don't make sense, because it turns out when you stab through the piece of paper where all the numbers are, yeah, unfortunately, you cut those numbers up. We've gone back to the drawing board, and we've got some point situations for you. But before we get there, the journey down to Mugello in Italy. This is a beautiful, beautiful circuit to go racing here tonight. Got to host Formula One due to the COVID years coming back, and boy, is that putting it in front of everyone's eyes, Mez.
Yep, absolutely. This track I'm actually super keen for. This one was if you've ever played Assetto Corsa, this is one of those tracks that you will always end up playing on with heaps, and it's one of the tracks that I love. And you can obviously see it here. Just it's very, very fast, very, very flowing. That massive long straight into turn one. You've got those big wide open switchback sections across the top, and then you get to Casanova and you run down the back of the circuit. That one's going to be big commitment area from Cervelli all the way across to Scapiera. A lot of commitment through those sections as well. Getting it back on the front straight as you go through 12, 13, 14, 15. Another section as well that's really going to challenge the drivers to be as smooth as possible. Be interesting to see how the cars actually tackle this one. I'm thinking this is going to be very much along the lines of where we saw Jerez, where basically the outside tyre just gets absolutely tortured. I'm going to feeling that we're going to see very much the same thing when we come to this race.
Yeah, talking to a few drivers. I'm talking about left fronts, actually talking to drivers, and speaking of talking to drivers, Brenton O'Brien got to sit down and chat with him, as I love doing on a Thursday night prior to the race. Says this is going to be like going on a blind date tonight. Has not set laps prior to about 15-20 minutes before this week. He's been busy setting up some real-world motor racing events down at Phillip Island, so that's where all of his attention's been. Jumps on the Sims tonight and is going to be starting in a little bit of a hole in terms of the practice of the drivers around him. But the numbers for the race, how they look. It's the final race of the season, another 250-kilometer epic. 75% for classification. That is going to be an important number we'll talk about all night long. You will need to complete 36 laps of the race. 80 litres will be the starting fuel, which leaves a 31 as they sit on the grid to be placed into the tank to get them all the way back up to that maximum fuel capacity. Fuel burn somewhere in the range, talking to the guys from the Chubby Buns outfit, between 3.8 and 4. So there's a lot of differential in terms of fuel numbers. Expect to see that fuel number die off as the tyres start to die off as well. Expected fuel needed somewhere around that 105 to 112 litres range. There's a lot of differing numbers floating around there right now, depending upon how loud you are on the right foot. 2 compulsory pit stops. How do you set them up, Mez? A lot to talk about on this graphic here tonight, but there is some pit stop flexibility.
There is a fair bit. Yeah, it's you obviously see just looking there. Seems like we're going to get one of those ones where it's probably more likely to actually run longer in the race than what we would have anticipated in the past. One thing that's going to be very interesting is what potentially we're going to look at for fuel saving. So we did mention that very, very long straight that we have, and whether or not that's an opportunity to save a lot of fuel. A lot of high-speed corners, you can sort of roll out of it a little bit more and save a little bit of fuel that way. So question is going to be, is this going to turn into maybe more of a fuel race than actually any other sort of strategy? Tyres still going to be a factor, but yeah, looking at this graph, is fuel going to be where the battle's going to lie?
Well, talking to a lot of the drivers, yeah, fuel was definitely on the cards. They were saying there's a couple different ways to sort of tackle this one, but the general consensus is that around here, tyres are the biggest factor. So getting that overcut, getting that undercut. If somebody pits from behind you and they go for that undercut, well, screw it. I'm throwing my lot as soon as I'm undercut. Okay, no worries. I'm going real long. I'm going to go for the overcut. Massive overcut. Approach them with much significantly better tyres and see what I can do from there in terms of things. Might just be the way a few of these teams talk about. They were talking about lap 16 being so critical. 16, 32, 48. You know what that is, Mez? That is a perfectly set up into even thirds race. From there, there's about 4 or 5 laps in terms of the pit window, 16 to 20, 21, depending upon some fuel saving as that starts to fall off. But in terms of things, we've got a point scenario that I believe we're going to be talking about here in just a few moments. When we look at these numbers, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, coming to you from the Sim Racer Hub as well. We made sure that we went along and got the points absolutely right. So we're talking exactly what the perfect story is in terms of this one. You cannot drop your final round of the season. What that means for all of us watching along at home, this round cannot be dropped. We know exactly what the point scenarios are as we come in tonight, and we know exactly what the point scenarios will be because this race must be counted towards your final total. The way it stands, Michael Taliantich has the margin by 5 points over Ken Latta. That means we've got our tightest championship race in a very, very long time. Bonus points will be relevant here. And for Darren Lobb and Scott Gamble, that may be them jumping into things. They may be a significant part of this championship result. Matt Vanderkran sits there in third place, 1273 back. You can just about say it's over and done with for Matt Vanderkran. If one of those two, both of those two ahead of him will have to not finish, basically, for him to come away with it, and then he would need to score a bank of points like you wouldn't believe. It's basically the same situation. So now that means we get to talk about all these little bits of third place battles, other sorts of battles going on, Mez.
Yeah, and I think one thing we should definitely talk about real quick is the bubble, because that's obviously going to be a big factor for the final round. And there we have it on screen at the moment. So Damien Cross is currently on the bubble in P20, and then you can see Brenton O'Brien not far in front, Travis Hunt not far in front, Scott Gamble, who, yes, is racing tonight, fell very far backwards with the last round result, and then, yeah, obviously Chris Blanchard just a bit further in front as well. So, and you can see we've got Rick Vicker, Dean Favell, Paul Burns, David Nash, Robert Griffiths, and there's a few of those drivers in there that are actually been putting in some really good results towards the back end of this championship. So they're mathematically not far off, and like I said, point drop rounds are out the window at the moment, so there is still plenty of opportunity for these drivers that are sitting just outside the top 20. They could bank themselves into the top 20 tonight.
Yeah, so it's a great night out there. Remember, 36. That lap 36 marker is what we're talking about. That's going to be so crucial to getting towards the end of this race. It's going to be so crucial for banking yourself in and making sure you get it right. And that means it starts, particularly with how long this front straight is going to be a really big scenario. There was a lot of movers and shakers. Jason Fewens is out tonight, by the way. I noticed that he was the biggest gainer last week's round. In terms of things, he's out. He's doing real-world racing commitments, so won't be seeing any of him tonight. There's a few drivers up and down the field that we'll be seeing that out of. Right, what does the point scenario stand like, and what are the conversations that we're going to be talking about across the duration here tonight? Michael Taliantich has a 5-point margin. If he wins the race, he wins the championship. There is no way for him to be beaten if he wins the championship, or he can net himself 182 points. There are multiple ways to do that. One of them is leading a lap. One of them is fastest lap of the race. Keep your eyes on Darren Lobb. I think Darren Lobb is going to have a big say in how this championship ends. In terms of Ken Latta, though, how can he win it? Must outscore by 6 or more points to get it. If he wins the if they end up tied on points, Ken Latta will win the championship. So post-race results, if he wins tonight, sorry, my apologies, we're just being fed that. He must win the race tonight and they're tied on points, bonus points could be relevant here, then he will win on count back, because he will have more second place finishes. Must win though tonight. If they finish on points, even on points here tonight, Mez, he would be 1 win less than Michael Taliancic, and that means that Tally would win the championship. So Tally's just going to score 6 more. He's basically just going to stay right on Ken Ladder's gearbox the whole night long. That's the margin we'll be talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we'll look at the others. Matt Van der Kraan basically looking at both drivers DNFing and scoring 11th or higher. So that's going to be a big thing to happen if it does. Troy Stonestreet there, still mathematically in it, but same thing, really wanting to have the first 2 DNF. Jay McKnight, who's really just popped up right at the back half of this season as well, mathematically in a shot, but still waiting but still betting on Taliancic or Ladder to DNF. But Darren Lobb will be the interesting one, because Darren Lobb has the pace to win, especially at the back half of this season. He's really showed it. But then he's still got to contend with obviously Stonestreet and Jay McKnight as well. He needs them to also have a bad night. So I think mathematically it's very much that out of this one, but Darren definitely has the hardest one. We'll flick over to where the points differences is as well, and this is where we see how this championship's gone. It has been a very tight battle between them. Ken has basically been pushing the entire way. There was that round 6, or coming out of round 5, where Ken took the lead. Tally had a real bad round at round 6, is where the points difference shot up, but then it quickly flipped back the other way once the drop round sort of kicked into gear. So that is where we are. It's led us to basically 5 points is all that's in it, and 1 round to sort it all out.
Yep, and a final reminder, you cannot drop tonight's round. That is so key. Bonus points, we'll be talking about them throughout the piece, Mez, so I hope you're sitting there ready with the calculator to go who's chalked off a bonus point here and there. In the meantime, though, let's jump to the grids, because this is going to set something alight, and this was absolutely critical. There is a bonus point, by the way, for qualifying on pole position. Ken Ladder went out there and grabbed that one. 1 more point back in his favor, 1 more point into hopefully a championship stab from his direction. Matt Van der Kraan continues his success in terms of qualifying pace, lines up on the front row, and I think that's been a long time coming. He has said, I'm going to get the elbows out. He has got the confidence. I'm finally going to get the elbows out, and we'll see what happens. Scott Gamble and Jeff Thomas are going to line up on row number 2. A good turn of pace for the driver of the 43 out of JWN. Darren Lobb, we said that this could make a change of things. Well, he's right there on row number 3. Fastest laps have been a big thing for him and Scott Gamble. Watch them contend over them there tonight, off alongside of Troy Stonestreet. Michael Stewart and David Nash are going to be inside your top 10 yet again, continuing that return to form for Stewart. Nash has been showing great pace. We'll see if he can finally finish a race inside that top 10. That'll be the key for him here tonight. Damien Cairns and Paul Burns rounding out your top 10 on the inside and outside. And again, good to see Cairns inside the top 10. Rick Seabra, first driver outside the top 10, alongside of David Kirby, who has been on a long season slide. We'll hope to see Dave Kirby respond next season out. Might be just a bunch of things going on over the Christmas break. In terms of things for row number 7, it's going to be Ricky Hyde off alongside of Chad Lewis. Chad feeling reasonably confident here tonight. Jamie McKnight and Chris Blanchard are going to make up your row number 8. Jamie McKnight, remember, the winningest and the driver who's completed the most starts here in the league. Before we'll jump back 1 row to row number 9, Damien Cross and Christian Smart off of row number 9. Finally, row number 10, and this is the big one. Look how deep Michael Taliancic is in the pack. Ken Ladd had a great qualifying. His biggest rival did not. Travis Hunt will line up alongside of him, Mez.
And we'll go back to the next row. 21, Robert Crusdale alongside Stewie Hall in 22nd. Drop back to Damien Fisher coming out of P23 with Stephen Kennedy alongside the P24. And then we'll go Greg Sharp out of P25. Alongside will be Chris Miller. Then Robbie Griffiths will be coming out of P27. Tim Nicol coming out of P28. Mario Reale lines up at P29 with Rick Vigor alongside at P30. John Latham lining up in P31. P32 will be Brenton O'Brien. And interesting, Bruce Tannock did not set a time. Brooke Scott Weston didn't set a time. Michael Quain, by the looks of it, didn't set a time as well. And there's I think Quain is the other. There's a few other drivers that have joined the wrong server, but have a very interesting though. Only 35 cars taking the grid tonight.
Yeah, it's going to be a quiet night at the office, I think, in terms of things. I think there's just a few drivers just gone. It's all over. Might take a week off. Might just sort of sit back and relax. There'll be a few drivers that'll be working on things. Travis Hunt's there in your top right of screens, giving us a wave. He's excited, talking to his YouTube chat. Jeff Thomas off alongside of him. Well, he can probably just about see daylight, and he'll be thinking about it when he gets down to turn number 1. Chris Blanchard as well. Kirby looks a little bit more relaxed tonight. He's just chilled out, not too much going on. I'm keen to see Michael Stewart get a good result. It's good to see Tim Nicol jumping into the Zoom feed here as well. By the way, we're about 30 seconds from getting underway. Who is going to be season number 18, your RaceKraft V8 Veterans Championship? If there's going to be a time to get your votes in prior to us going green, now is going to be the last opportunity. And I tell you what, Mez, he's deep in that pack as Michael Taliancic. We've seen both of them drive through the field on countless occasions this season. Is tonight another one of those nights?
Look, you can't count him out. You simply cannot count him out. Anything is possible.
Righto. Well, ladies and gentlemen, for the final time for my commentary career in terms of the vets for the near future, for the final time for Simon Mazzomo, it's going to be the RaceKraft V8 Veterans. The run to turn number 1. Green flag in the air. There's going to be a reasonable start off the front row, but watch Gamble as he starts to get through the gears. He'll be looking to be kind of aggressive. He did get a reasonable getaway. They're just about going to be 3 wide on the run down to turn number 1. There's not really a hole there, but Gamble's going to try and make the nose in. Pulls out of it. Vanderkrans is going to slide down and have a look at Darren Lobb, who's got down the inside. 6th on the grid, makes his way to 3rd in the opening lap. But the key is we've got to look deeper in the pack. Where is Michael Taliancic? Did he get a good getaway? Did he find speed? And there's a huge incident going on the first corners. Tally's through it though.
Yeah, oh, there's cars everywhere. There's cars smoking in the inside. Couldn't quite catch who that was. So I think there's going to be a
Nash
at some point. Nash involved. Damien Cross, there's a lot of damage on that car at the moment. Be interesting to see if he can get that thing back to the pits. It looks very, very broken at the moment. But they'll make their first run down the hill. We head towards 7, 8, 9. Ken Latta in the lead at the moment. And you can see Scott Gamble already. He's got the blowtorch on the back of him. Gamble has sort of said he's going for results at the back end of this championship, and Darren Lobb is in the exact same opinion. They want wins. They don't really worry too much about the championship, and Ken Latter's going to have that in the back of his mind. You can see he's really ranging up on the back of the car now. There's going to be an opportunity here. It'll be quite single file, a little bit of a slide off the corner. They'll run single file down here, and then we'll see as they get to the final hairpin, using every little bit of the track. Gamble not quite close enough here at the moment.
I was just going to say, I thought Gamble shot off that corner, like he just had no grip in the front end, ladies and gents. We are going to be talking tyres as this race progresses, as we settle down on into things. Lap 1 is in the books, and for Ken Latta, 1 lap led, pole position, there's 2 points. Well, that's all you need. That is the big start. Now comes the draft. It's a very, very long straight. It is uphill as they get down to turn number 1, but Scott Gamble gets the nose down to the inside. Latta will immediately be thinking, I don't need to fight this one. I'm in a great spot. Let's lock it in. So Gamble gets down the inside, and it's going to be that driver, the 269, who is thinking championship implications. That is going to be front and center of his brain. Tally's just going to have go bonkers aggressive, or is he going to pull another master stroke in terms of strategy out of the cards? He's gained 5 spots on lap number 1. That's what he looks like through the windscreen at the moment, Mez. So first check of the box, survived lap 1, went forward on lap 1, and now he's got this pack to get through.
Yeah, and it'll be really telling to see if we're sort of half right about this track being a difficult track to pass on, because Taliancic is going to have to do a lot of passing. I don't know if strategy's going to be
saving. Did you just save tyres here, Mez, and just create a tyre overlap?
Exactly. There's multiple ways you can do it, but like I said, I think the pace that they're setting at the moment, because like up front, Scott Gamble's just putting in the fastest first sector as well. So Gamble's just running away from this at the moment. But obviously, got to remember that's not where his battle is at the moment. It's with Ken Latta. So, but if Ken can go with it, actually, it looks like Ken's dropped another spot as well. He's gone back to 3rd. Darren Lobb looks like he's got the job done there as well. So Ken falling back a little bit. Taliancic, this is where he's really got to get into it and get forward, because he's got to try and close that gap as much as he can.
So it was down at turn 12 that he got the job done, so it was only a recent move. I tell you what, Vanderkran's starting to rein in on him as well. So I get the feeling immediately that Ladder's just gone on the defensive in terms of everything. It's just like, all right, I'm in a good spot. Points are good. I've got half an eye on Tally, and there's a big Fishy Motorsports contingent as well, and they will be supporting him. He will have a number of drivers out there. I just wonder for Tally. I wonder whether or not there's somebody lurking around. I'm sure he'd have a spotter booked in for tonight. It's championship night. Normally this is the night where you go, you call in a couple favours, you go, I just need somebody to talk me through this race. I need somebody to help settle the nerves. You'd have to be nervous in this situation, Mez.
I can actually back that one too, because the last time I was in a tight championship fight, I actually did have someone as a spotter for me. Bo Albert actually offered to jump in calls with me and be my spotter. And honestly, it was the best thing that I could have had in that situation, because we were basically in the same sort of situation. Whoever finished in front won the championship, and just having someone in your rear just to calm you down and reassure you and sort of help plan that race out with you, it is a lot easier. When you're in on your own, it's very easy to get in your own head and try and overanalyze things, or try and create situations in your head. So having someone over your shoulder just to sort of rein you in a little bit is very, very much needed in these slots.
I'm just thinking, as the penalty for Troy Stone Street pops up, sitting fourth in the championship, was a shout of starting to harass the rear bumper of Matt Vanderkran in terms of things, but there's a few overtaking opportunities as Troy Stone Street. He will have a drive-through penalty to serve coming his way. He's already been issued the penalty, so he's got a couple laps now to serve that one, but was in the hunt for podium finish, and he'd be over the moon for that. No, Hamish Munro was talking about how good he is. By the way, Michael Talian's just right in front of him at the moment. Chris Blanchard and Christian Smart are going toe-to-toe as they come down to the last corner, so that'll be one to keep an eye on. Is that's John Latham that's just in behind him as well, I think, as well. So battles going on up and down the field. This one's right towards the tail end of the field as it currently stands. At the moment, Tally's got a good drive off the final corner, by the way. He's going to look, there's no hole to Chris Blanchard's right-hand side as out of the queue pops Troy Stone Street. And is that one of the Fishy cars, I think, that's just followed him in? No, it's one of the RaceKraft cars that has just followed him in. Just going to get their pit stop out of the way nice and early. But I can tell you, boys, Tally's just picked up another one at turn one. No, it's not quite done yet. We need to keep an eye on him. Oh, contact with Blanchard. Squeezes him at turn three. And now he's going to get a hurry up. And this is not what Tally wanted, was a driver rubbing doors, rubbing panels with him. He was looking for a nice quiet night. Well, qualifying went out the window, and now he's going to try and find something.
Yeah, and that's not what you need. You'd be wanting to have people think, you know what, championship fight, you don't want to get involved, but that's the thing, at the end of the day, and Chris Blanchard is one of those drivers that's battling on the bubble, so he needs a good result as well. He needs to finish inside this fourth spot at the moment, even probably get closer to the top 10. So this thing, you're overlapping, you've got people that are in different situations as well. They're not necessarily going to give you a spot, so you have to earn it this one. This is why qualifying is just so important in these situations. You want to get yourself out of those situations where you're battling with other people who have other priorities at this point in time. So yeah, this is not going to be helping it. Oh no, there's been a contact. Christian Smart and Blanchard is off. That looked a little bit clumsy. We might be able to get a replay on that one, but that just looked very clumsy from both of them in there.
Well, it's happened. There's not a whole bunch that they can do about it. He got a huge run. I wonder whether or not Christian Smart was... that is very odd. As is this one now for Christian. So Chris Blanchard is just out of sequence at this point in time.
Yeah, and now Christian Smart going a bit. Yeah, they just... The cork has popped early. We didn't even have to wait till 10 o'clock. They just started straight off the bat by the looks of it.
No, don't do that. I'm going to get in trouble, Mez. Final time broadcasting, and we're going to start the old men and 10 o'clock jokes again. Oh boy, here we go. So this is the run out of the second chicane, sorry, the first chicane in the back area, heading down to turn number 12 at this point in time. And it looks like Blanchard just sort of turned in very, very early.
Have a quick look. Now he's on the out. Oh, yep. That. Yeah. Race Control's gonna have a lot of fun with that one. I think that's
because they're both cracking at each other, aren't they?
There's a little bit, but you can clearly see that Blanchard has tried to. I think he's trying to take the corner, maybe? I don't quite know. Or there's that big lock up into the final corner that actually pushes Christian wide. So that's where he's basically said that stuff this will go to the pit lane, I think. But yeah, that is a very weird sequence of corners there.
Anyway, it's in the book now. Well, for both of those guys, interesting race it's going to be. And shout out to Brent Nietzsche over in YouTube chat, by the way, who's also not participating here tonight, unfortunately. A number of drivers unable to make the grid. In the meantime, though, Darren Lobbs nicked the fastest lap of the race, and that'll probably stick all the way through the first pit stop. Might quicken up a little bit after that first pit stop, but for now, Lobbs got it, so bonus point in his favour. Takes one away from both Tally and Ken Latta. I'll tell you what, if Tally's in a little bit of trouble, he might run very, very long and try and nick a couple bonus points late in the race too. That could be an option.
Yep, can do. I'm just going to quickly go on board. Pardon me for a second. I'm just going to go on board with Ken Latta because I'm just curious as to why he's falling back so much at the moment, because he's definitely got the pace. I'm not so sure if he's actually saving fuel. Maybe just saving tyres. Maybe it's just I took your advice. Must have listened to the start of this race and took your advice. Basically looking after the tyres a bit more. So, because yeah, it definitely doesn't seem like he's fuel saving at the moment. So, while yeah, you're seeing Gamble and Lob obviously trading lap times at the moment, pushing on for the win. Oh, a bit using every little bit of the track there, but yeah, Ken's thinking, well, look, my battle's not with them, my battle's with Kalianchich, and push comes to shove, you want the tyres at the end of the race, not at the start.
I tell you what, there's another interesting factor as well that we can sort of cross off, and I think we'll be able to cross it off for both of these drivers now, is with that one, I get the feeling that probably earned Ken Latta a 1x in terms of things. Remember, there is a bonus point, or there is a couple bonus points for a clean sheet in terms of race. And we can confidently say that after that contact between Blanchard and Taliancic, that Tally's no longer on for a clean sheet tonight. So,
yeah, that's those critical points. Oh, it's just so close. It's crazy to think about it. Those bonus points that they're really handy, you know, to grab through the year. But when it comes to the crunch point, the championship, yeah, it's all that little bit matters. Even if you finish a position behind, 1 or 2 bonus points can be enough to sort of get you across the line. And yeah, now that drop rounds are just completely out the door, and yeah, it just comes down to basically, yeah, you just got to score more points than the next person.
So we are just doing some math in the background, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. We will have live points for you as it comes through. So we'll be sort of able to give you an unofficial or provisional results in terms of the championship standings as well throughout proceedings here tonight. Remember, take them with a grain of salt, because there's something going on with the points that we said the same thing at the tail end of season number 17. There was something we just quite couldn't figure out. We got the result right, but the numbers were slightly off. So again, as always, take any points supplied by a non-official source with a grain of salt. But it gives us a good story. Tells us a story. That's the important part.
Yeah. Sorry, I just had something pop in my mind about counting and numbers and yeah, we
not doing that.
Yeah. I just don't do math. It was something else I was thinking in a different. Yeah, it's just.
It's not another wrestling program. No more wrestling.
It's not wrestling. No, it's something completely different.
It's your last nightmares. You make as many wrestling jokes as you feel like.
No. We've got championship implications on the line tonight, and I think we should focus on those. And you can see, actually, looking at most positions gained, Chris Miller's up 11, Typical up 10, Rick Figure up 10 as well. Brenton O'Brien, again, back of the field. Whenever he gets these not so good qualifying, it has to come from the back of the field. He just slowly chips his way through the field. But Taliancic, the big one, started out of P20, I believe, and is already up 8 spots as well. So picked up quite a few at the start of the race, and he's just had his head down ever since. So, yeah. And interesting. So that incident we looked at that we thought was between Blanchard and Chris Smart, Race Control has given Chris Blanchard the drive-through penalty.
I think that's the right call, because he was in the outside, turned in.
I think, yeah. I'd like to go back and have a bit more of a look at it, but just from the view we had of it at the time, if you're the outside car and you're turning into the car on the inside, unless that driver's missed the apex by about a couple of football fields, I think you're probably going to end up in trouble. So, yeah, it's just not obviously in a situation where we're talking Chris Blanchard wanting to keep that spot as much as possible because he is on the bubble. Now that's just made his night a little bit more difficult as well. So, yeah, one of those things you've got to be very careful of.
The race comes down to race management, doesn't it? I mean, he was looking for a move around the outside. You've got to be aggressive, got to be positive. The best defense is to go forwards, so he was trying to do that, and it's not come off. By the way, I did chat to Travis Hunt and Jeff Thomas prior to the race. Travis Hunt said no safety cars here tonight. Jeff Thomas said 3. So the JWM thoughts about the race go in wildly different directions, although they were said a little bit tongue-in-cheek, so they're definitely trying to have fun with me and give me something to talk about.
Well,
and,
actually, if we stick to convention, if we get Brady to hop back in, chances are safety car will happen, because every time you're not here, safety car happens, because we always blame it on you. But, yeah. And, Rick Sibberoff at the moment, but looks like it's going to... And Kirby as well, very slow... And Kirby,
he's redressing it. He's 100% redressing it. That's Dave Kirby in a nutshell. By the way, guys, if you ever see Dave Kirby in an incident, he's not... I mean, there are times where he won't redress it. This is a silly redress because he's going to get slapped with the penalty anyway, but he's still redressing it. That says more about Dave Kirby than I think anything else can say, really, is that, hey, I know I'm at fault. Even though it's, inconsequential at the end of the day, I'm redressing it.
Yeah. So we'll have a quick look on the replay. They've come out of the little kink, and he's... maybe just missed the braking marker. The kick, the side there, the little... I'll restart my voice again. As it swung back, that's what sort of done it there. And that just seems like, it looks like maybe just a little bit of a missed brake. It's only the slightest little bit of touches and just the way that corner unloads the car. And like I said, Kirby's realised, yeah, that's 100% my fault. It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate because he's owned up to the incident. He knows that he was at fault, and he's going to readdress it with him. But it's unfortunate that he's going to get a drive-through penalty at the end of the day.
No, it's not a man. No. I understand what you're saying. He's being a nice guy, but look at the you can't give it back to Rick Sieber. You can't reinstate that racing position for Rick Sieber, and that he will always get penalty.
We will have a discussion about this. Maybe there's a podcast we could have this discussion, but there is a hill that I will die on, and it's that if you cause an incident and readdress it, like what we've just seen there, 100% you would deserve license points, but personally, I don't believe you should receive an extra penalty for readdressing the person. That's just my point of view.
Okay. Yep. That is an offline debate that we'll have at a later time. In the meantime, Michael Taliancic slices down the inside, and this is critical. This is on a fishy teammate of Ken Ladders, and I don't know whether Jamie Knight actually had a lot to do about that one. It just looked like he just sort of sidestepped the whole situation. I don't know that he had anything to respond with, and the critical factor now is that moves Michael Taliancic all the way up to 7th. You know what the margin is in terms of points? Based on bonus points at this point in time, there is 3 points in the championship. Remember, coming into this race, it was 5. Pole position and a lap led have put 2 points in Ken Ladder's pocket already. So that brings the margin down to 3 points. That means he needs to finish 2 spots better than him. If Michael Taliancic comes home in 4th, and Ken Ladder finishes in 3rd, Michael Taliancic will take the points, will take the cake.
So not live points, so it's 5 points in. According to live points, which obviously, as you say, they are provisional, 5 points the better for Ken Ladder at the moment. So, still crazy, because even though it's P7 to P3, just how tight the points are, those bonus points are playing a big factor in this one as well. That's what we're going to calculate. So,
well, that's effectively 1 extra spot that he's made up is for Ken Ladder. That's the key factor in it. Dave Kirby gets a drive-through penalty just coming through on the sim at the moment, which we all knew was coming. And I'm sitting here clapping my hands together and going, that was the right decision. But Mez is going. Anyway,
Look, it's a discussion. It's a discussion I'm happy to have, and like I said, I'm clapping him as well because that is the precedent they've set, that Race Control has set, and they're sticking with it. And I think we should congratulate them because Race Control, once you set a precedent, you should always stick with it. Just
unless force majeure.
Unless, yes, there are some times where certain instances, you won't always go 1-to-1 with something, but like I said, it's purely just personal. I just don't agree with it. But like I said, Race Control has remained consistent with this, and no, that's the right call. At the end of the day, that is the right call as per the rule book.
One of my favourite force majeure incidents, by the way, was Townsville last year. And it was the Porsche Cup race, which was red flagged and then never restarted on, I think, at the end of lap 1. And what happened was that because the bulk of the field were so far in the safety car and backed up so far, what ended up happening was that there was only like 3 drivers who scored points because they completed enough laps at a sufficient pace to actually score points. And force majeure took over, whereby the bulk of the drivers said, no, that's not right, that's actually incorrect, it's a quirk in the rules system. And that is exactly what force majeure is there for too. It's an interesting one. We'll discuss that on Monday night, shall we? When you want to put it in the book?
Oh, we're not having one on Monday night, remember? Having a week off.
We are?
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? You just made my Monday night. Thanks, Spence.
Oh, you're going to do it yourself?
No, I was actually looking forward to it. Actually, I forgot about that.
Wow.
Oh, we've got memories.
Goldfish.
Hi, I'm 10-second Tom.
Inappropriate joke. No, anyway, keep on. On the screen at the moment, Travis Hunt on the back of Chad Lewis as they run down towards turn 1. You can see Chad will be going defensive. Travis going around the outside. Interesting to see if he can make the outside work. So far, there's a little bit of overlap. Chad still's got the inside for now, but it's going to be the drive off the corner, and the drive off the corner's worked well for Travis. He's going to be able to get his nose in front, gets that spot done. That's probably the good thing about that corner is that there's 2 different lines, and it always really probably depends on how good of a tyres you have, and just trying to get that run off the corner. Again, being on the inside probably doesn't help you when you get to turn 2, but perfectly executed from Travis Hunt. But Chad Lewis is not really giving this one either. He's gone with him. You can see he's already starting to apply a little bit of pressure to the back of Travis at the moment.
What happened to Matt van der Krank?
Sorry, I've just had a look now. He just mentioned in chat, lost power again. Yeah, he's lost power.
Oh, no. Because he was on for 3rd in the championship. That would have been good enough where he was running. Oh, no, for Matt van der Krank. That is heartbreaking.
That is. And that pretty much hands it to Darren Lobb at the moment, I think, as well. From what the points we were seeing before, I think it pretty much hands it to him.
It doesn't hand it to him, but it'll be a lot for Troy Stonestree to go back. But you're right. I think it all but hands 3rd place in the championship to Darren Lobb. Oh, that's unfortunate. Yeah. Particularly after having no power last week.
Yeah. That's it. Definitely. Yeah. Low points here. You can see it. Yeah. Darren Lobb jumps over the top, gets into P3.
And McKnight comes through as well.
He drops out of the 10.
Well, you have to count tonight's points. You have to count tonight's points.
Yeah,
and basically from 3rd back was not a significant margin.
Chris Miller trying around the outside. Sorry to cut in, but just notice it there as well. Chris Miller's got the job done there as well. So same move as we saw from Travis Hunt. So Chad Lewis is having a rough time at the moment. Just cannot get those tyres. Maybe those tyres are just a bit too used. But yeah, he's starting to get dropped a bit quick at the moment. Where he's sitting in 12th at the moment. So Stewie Hall, Steve Kennedy, you can see in the background. Yeah, tyres are not hanging up at the moment for Chad Lewis.
And I was noting as well, the last time by Chad Lewis actually did have a slowdown penalty. So there was a full black flag being shown to give back some time. And he did clear that one by. So struggling on tyres at the moment is the RT driver. And might be worth a little bit of a check-in to see where Brenton's actually running as well as a teammate in terms of things, just to keep half an eye up and down sort of the field. Brenton sits 20th at the moment, and currently about 7 seconds off John Latham is the next car on track, but pit stops sort of break up a few of those little battles in behind. In behind him is Mario Reale, so not Scott McCune. Scott McCune said long week at work and wasn't actually able to make it into the circuit here tonight, took a night off and focused on things. And then I jumped down and chatted to the Chubby Buns boys, and they said probably one of the funniest things I've heard in a good while. We've realised that the best way to get more coverage of our cars is to be in and around Scott McCune. And so that was their strategy for tonight until I informed them that McCune wasn't going to be in attendance.
Solid idea. I like that one. That's thinking outside the box, you know? So, yeah, no, you're gonna love these vets. That you do notice when you hang around the Discord, there's a lot of out-the-box sort of thinking that goes on. Damien Cairns up the inside. I believe that's Chris Blanchard.
It is.
Hanging on the outside as well. And he gets that job done. Wow, that was a solid move there. Just got the nose in front, but now, here we go. The weaving started, trying to break the draft, which is it's powerful in these cars, especially on this long straight. You can see he's tracking to the inside. Can Chris Blanchard try and replicate what we saw earlier? Going around the outside, not alongside enough. So Damien Cairns will comfortably take that spot.
And the difference between those two guys, Damien Cairns has made a pit stop, so he's on fresh rubber, came in at the end of lap number 8, and he had damage on the front end of his car. So the reason he was involved in that lap 1 incident, hence the reason for his pit stop early on. He was losing a significant amount of time. And got to keep half an eye up and down the field. Lewis is still hanging on to the back end of Chris Miller, so that battle will not resolve itself. And Stewie Hall starting to close in on the back end of those guys as well. Darren Lobb, by the way, has got through on Scott Gamble, so he now leads the way. Change for the race lead.
Yep.
And we're actually going to go back and check in with everything that happened on lap 1, because we were keeping half an eye on our championship contenders, and we weren't necessarily looking around, didn't have our head up at that point in time, and haven't gone back to have a look at it. Well, this will tell a little bit of the story. Keep your eyes on the Altus Esports Australia car going around the outside there, as everything sort of comes unstuck up ahead. Oh my word, he picked the right lane, didn't he?
I was gonna say that's what was Mike Korolev called after he parted the seas at Jerez? I think Taliandri might have to Moses.
Korolev, yeah.
Yep, I think there's a new Moses with because that kind of unfolded the same way. Oh, Stone Street. Oh, that's so unfortunate. Obviously, yeah, Nash went backwards and then just no one anywhere to go. The 57.
It's Quain.
Quain just at the last second. That's so difficult because you can see the smoke and everything's in front of you, but you just cannot. Actually, he's caught. The other car that was actually trying to readdress it. See what it was, but yeah, it's just smoke's everywhere, but you just cannot see where the actual incident is until you can actually see it. And Damien Cross trying to get back going again. I'm going to flick to another camera here, so Robert with Quain. Oh. And something else has happened there. I just noticed with John Latham. There was another car that went off. I didn't quite see who that was. So there's multiple things that happened in those corners.
We're going to have to get an on board with John Latham there just to sort of see how he ended up. Because now it's sort of this paddle pack. There were 3 wide.
Oh, that was
Tanek. Yeah.
Oh, did Tanek just not think he was there? It looks like Tanek actually might have got away with that one. Oh, no, he didn't. Got caught up in that other incident as well. And, he just drifted out. It was just not aware that he was there. This is impressive. He actually got it back going again. And then, you can just see how blind that car is, which is David Nash. And there's been a lot of conversation. I've sort of been talking to a few of these guys in and around. Matthew Skulls, obviously, the guys that are actually running on Discord together at the moment are Skulls, Nash,
and Darren Lobb, and they've all sort of got a technical partnership sort of going. Then effectively for those guys, like Darren's just been saying, effectively that he's just been unlucky, and you can sort of see it. But there's something that's just been going on in comms between these two cars at the moment, and Race Control have got something to sort of investigate. And here comes Rick Vigor and John Latham side by side, running down to turn number 1. Now, it isn't quite a straight. It is actually, there is a kink in the straight, and that's probably what is going on with that. And what we're hearing is that that wasn't the first time those two cars have come together, and it was the same place on the previous lap. So there's more in that between those two, but there's no love lost between Rick Vigor and John Latham.
Yeah, there was definitely a bit of chit chat. I was actually trying to listen in on it while it was happening, but yeah, both of them have got very strong opinions, it seems, about what actually happened there. But seeing on screen at the moment, Scott Gamble has decided to come out of second, take his pit stop, lap 17. So we're starting to get ourselves into that window that we were talking about earlier. Just quickly flicking through if I can get there. So yes,
Darren Lobb's going to go really, really long. And the reason he's been forced to come into the lane is because, no, that wasn't Ken Latta. My apologies. Top two have gone through. Jeff Thomas has also gone through. Ricky Hyde is there in 4th. Tally's gone long as well. So Gamble's the only taker, really, out of that front bunch. There's a couple that have come in from just sort of a couple in behind, but in terms of things, yeah, Gamble's the first real taker. Now, he will gain a ton of time, but he was not great on the long run in terms of the tyres. So, interesting to note, and we might keep half an eye on how much fuel he dumped in, because I get the feeling, man, this will be one of those races where you want to split that fuel nice and evenly. You don't want to just dump it all in for this middle stint.
Absolutely, and that's what I think he's going for. Just having a quick look. This is where the even strat sort of kicks in. So the next time we'd see him to the lane, if he was splitting it evenly, would be around lap 32. So, and the best thing is, he's actually come out in a fair bit of clean air. There's like a couple of cars in front that are on their own. Brendan O'Brien's on Latham, but they're a bit down the road. So there's a decent amount of space he's got to play with now. But yeah, and that's going to help him. He's going to have the fresh tyres. So this is his chance to sort of really take back some track position. But it's one of those situations where you're going to have track position, but now you're going to have to get yourself in a position where you're probably going to get attacked come later in the race. Because obviously you're seeing Darren run late. We know he probably will run that tank all the way out. Ken Latta has been sort of positioning himself to be able to do the same thing, run the car really, really late in the stint. So, he's going to have to be aware that comes closer to the end of the race, especially if he isn't going to be about 4 or 5 laps in front of them in terms of tyres, it's going to be defence towards the end of the race. But we have seen him do this before, and he has played this really, really well. And obviously still a long, long way to go this race. We're only on lap 18 of 48, so there's still plenty of this race to play out. But yeah, we'll get to see if Scott's played his cards right so far.
Well, Michael Stewart came in at the end of lap 15, started lap 16, and he took a 58-second pit lane transit time as well. I've got on my numbers. So that's an extra 5 seconds in terms of what Scott Gamble has on board right now. And the other side of that coin is Gamble went an extra lap. So in reality, he's going to be significantly lighter. So we'll have to keep half an eye on Michael Stewart's progression through the field. He's going to be very, very quick in the back half of this race, but this stint is going to be long, it's going to be heavy, and it's going to be slow, and he's not going to pop out in a great position. The other driver, remember we were talking about Damien Cairns earlier in the piece? Guess where he's popped out? About 4 seconds in behind Gamble.
Yep. I did notice that before, sort of as you were mentioning. Yeah, I was like, he's played this one really, really well. Got that job done earlier on, that really good move on Chris Blanchard, and he's just done a solid job. Obviously, significantly older tyres. He's got about 9 laps on those tyres at the moment. But obviously Gamble, who's only just pitted. But yeah, so far he's playing his cards right. So, and he'll be on strategy to some extent with this pack at the moment. But yeah, he will obviously have a bit of a deficit come later in the race, just with taking the stop a bit earlier than everyone else.
So something just came in from race control that I find really, really interesting. I don't know whether or not we'll chalk this one up to debate later on as well. But it was Rick Vigor and John Latham, and they said with that contact on the straight, no further action. I'm gonna buy in on this one. I agree with it, and the reason that I agree with it is I reckon they'll probably both at fault. Or it's just one of those racing incidents. Neither car has been impacted majorly. There's been no real loss of position, no real trade position. The job was basically done. And it's carry on, which I like.
Yeah, and if, like I said, we haven't been able to see on replay if there was, like obviously John said, there was sort of a previous incident, previous lap. If we're so to speak, there was a previous incident on a previous lap, and it's basically just both drivers sort of tit for tat at that point. Then yeah, 100%, I think that is the right call. But
there would have been some form of warning, and there was no warning that went along with it. So I'm wondering whether or not race control's gone, there's a kink in the straight, you've just misjudged the kink.
Yeah.
Out of anything, the driver that's... I like the term self-penalising, Nez. I don't know if you subscribe to that term.
No. Like I said, if you judge on that incident alone, that's because I heard that conversation that was going on. But judged on that incident alone, I think yeah, you're probably right. If it was deemed self-penalising and it looked like it was just basically two drivers arguing over the same bit of space, yeah, I think it's the right call. Just look, you're both getting into it. Well, whatever comes out the other side comes out the other side. So yeah, no, I sort of agree. I think that probably is the right call in that situation.
By the way, click on the grip link in the YouTube chat and out on Facebook. Actually, you know what? The grip link is just about everywhere. By the way, for those of you who don't know, Kick is a new service that's started up. We're live on Twitch, YouTube, Kick, and Facebook, multi-platforms. So for those of you who are watching along and have enjoyed the broadcast coverage and everything that we've given you over the last 4 seasons, as I conclude a year, which is when Dan and I started covering V8 Veterans all the way back in season number 15 in terms of things. It's we're now live on 4 different platforms. If you're on any of those platforms, jump across and give it a follow, because it does help the algorithm. If you're only watching on one platform, dip across, give the stream a good old thumbs up and a like. It's never a bad idea. It always helps for content creators and everything as well.
Just open up with all the platforms. Just have all that simultaneously. Just have a sort of that echo chamber where it's just you can hear both of us multiple times over.
No, don't do that. That's not good for you. That's not good for anyone. But the reason I say that is I've just checked in over on the Facebook, and Scotty Van Loon was checking in. Just say great commentary, great broadcast so far. It was about 11 minutes ago, by the way, and new NBN installed, and it's had issues. So here's remember the old hashtag BLS shirt from Dave Kirby in the earlier in the season? His slogan was basically the NBN to hashtag BLS.
I just actually would answer that question, because Brenton has asked why we're sort of finishing up. For me personally, there's this thing called Scots that's kicked off. You have to spend a bit more time on that, and there's actually a bit of a personal driving sim racing that I actually want to do as well. So it's been I actually have really enjoyed this. Kent Latta looking for a big move on Brenton O'Brien. He's got the nose there. Brenton really gave him space. That was a big move, and Brenton just could obviously see what was coming and just sort of think, no, I'm not going to have a part of this, and just let that move happen.
Yeah, Brenton O'Brien hasn't pitted yet, so he's on very, very old tyres, whereas Ken Latta is on his out lap at the moment and looking to try and turn some speed. Drivers that continued on, Darren Lobb, Jeff Thomas, and Chris Miller. Apologies. Ricky Hyde dives into the lane this time by, and I believe he's going to be the only one who will dive in the lane. Maybe Brenton O'Brien might dive to the lane this time by. As for me, I stuck my hand up and said, you know what, I do love race controlling as well. I've got enough commentary geeks on the slide, and they were looking for a new race controller. So I said, you know what, let's give that another stab. I do love some race controlling. I love procedures. I love policies. I love getting into the nitty-gritty in terms of things, and race controlling gives me another opportunity, another vein to sort of let things out, deal with things. I was disappointed I didn't get to penalise you last night, by the way, Mez.
Well, see, that's the thing, is I'm not fast enough to get myself in trouble, so... It works out, so... But that was, last night I was too busy making my own mistakes to actually affect anyone else's, so... But
Any chance we'll see him in a supercar?
unlikely. Unlikely.
I'm disappointed in you, Nez. Very disappointed.
Yeah. I've rekindled my love for prototype racing. So the GTP is obviously my big love at the moment. And there's a GT3 league that's kicking off as well that I want to really sink my teeth into and have a good crack at. So yeah, it's one of those things. And plus, I've got Monday nights with you, so I think once a night of talking to you, I think is enough.
Agreed. You know what? Your team boss is sitting over there, Mez to supercars. You stamp down on him, Sean McNamara. You tell him there's no GT racing until he races in some supercars.
Look,
you're in trouble. You're in danger.
I'm not going to say it here because I don't think it's appropriate for this broadcast. But Sean knows my thought about racing the supercar. So.
No, if anything, this is the perfect platform. Darren Lobb into the pits, Darren Lobb out the pits, and Scott Gamble is going to fly by him on the run down to turn number 1. Although that is going to be an undercut, and Darren Lobb took 2 seconds less in terms of fuel by the look of things. Jeff Thomas took a quick stop. He's closed up quite a bit. He's actually ahead of Ken Ladder at this point in time. So we have got a dogfight in our hand here, boys, for a couple different spots, and one of them is going to be Ken Ladder versus Jeff Thomas. The other one is going to be Darren Lobb coming back at Scott Gamble yet again.
Yeah, sorry, that just blew my mind for a second. And yeah, you can see it is in the pit stop side. So I was thinking, like, Lobb has not lost a lot of time at all. I thought Scott Gamble would have disappeared down the road a little bit, but no, that's obviously balancing itself out in pit stop time. But yeah, Jeff Thomas has popped out in front as well. There was obviously a very, very short stop as well. Ken Ladder just in behind. Then we can see Talyancic still trying to pick his way through the field at the moment. He's up into P8 for now. Obviously, Ken Ladder
very long stop.
And but obviously, very long stop as well. So again, Talyancic is looking to go for as long as he possibly can. So he can have the newer tyres towards the end of the race. But now he's really got to try and get the nose down, try and chase after Ken Ladder. Ken Ladder was only about 26 seconds worth, whereas obviously Talyancic's 33. So you would think it's going to lean itself towards Ken Ladder being a bit further up the field, a little bit more clear, although he does have Jeff Thomas in front of him. Could possibly use Jeff Thomas as a little bit of a fuel save, try and minimise how much fuel he's going to need to take in the final stop. But yeah, there's still multiple things that are playing out in this situation. We really, even look at the positions now, we really cannot just sort of say that this is a done deal for Ken Ladder. There is still way too much that's playing out at the moment. And just focusing as well, Darren Lobb has got the job done as well. He's got back to the lead.
That didn't take long.
That did not take long at all. But new tyres would obviously benefit for him. But yeah, now this is Darren Lobb's opportunity where he's going to do the reverse. We said that Scott Gamble really had to try and push that gap out. Now it's the opposite direction. He's really got to look for at least 2 seconds of a gap, maybe more, to try and protect from the potential overcut that's going to happen later on when Scott comes in the pit. So still, you can see he's already got it out to 0.6 of a second. He's not hanging around at all.
Well, the car just looks so much more lively from Darren Lobb. He's going to have less fuel on board as well. That is so key. He can rotate the car better. It's just not a pig at the moment, snaking around, struggling to try and get load off and on those front tyres. And I just think with these tyre burning races, filling the car up is the wrong way to go. Which, pay attention to, by the way, Michael Talyancic has got that thing stacked full of fuel. That would be a very full, near to 100, I'd say probably be over 100 litres worth in that tank for the 21 machine at the moment. And Paul Burns will be his next victim, and you can just see it. Without clear air on that nose here, Mez, at this point in time, Tally is not making any inroads, and you can just see Darren Lobb skipping clear on Scott Gamble.
Yeah, and this is just what we've sort of come to expect from Darren Lobb. I think, arguably, I think week in, week out, it's very hard to deny that Darren Lobb is probably very much... Oh, it is still very close, but I tend to lean toward Darren being single lap at least the quicker driver out of our sort of top 4 that we've got at the moment, between sort of Tally, Gamble, Ken Ladder, you know, that seems to be where that pace is. And there he just pops in and does the fastest lap of the race, so he's just further proving my point. But yeah, I think Yeah,
like 3/10 of a second, mind you, so not just a stab in the dark.
Yeah, it's just said, put the foot down, let's go. So, yeah, it's I do feel like we've obviously spoken to him in the past about how this is sort of his preference. He's not really sort of interested in Pro Series or Scops. Like, this is just what he wants to have fun racing in. I think we will eventually see one day Darren Robb will win this championship. I think genuinely he can do it.
It's just a matter of putting the full season together nice and cleanly and being able to make every race. And I think that's sort of him. He's just showing up and just racing. It's not about winning trophies for him at the moment. It's just, let's go racing. We'll have some fun.
I was going to say, that's it. It's like we've seen it this year as well. It's just that he hasn't been able to make all the races because obviously real-life commitments. And as we all say, real-life commitments always come first. Sim racing, as much as we dedicate to it, sim racing always comes second to real life. So, if the opportunity... If it lines up and you can commit to a full season and make every round, I 100% think Darren Robb is within a very good shot of winning the championship. But obviously, we can't take anything away from Gamble, Tally, and Latham. They're not going to make it easy for him anyway.
Have a look at this. This, I think, is very, very indicative of what the picture of a heavy car looks like versus a light car. So you can probably say Travis Hunt's probably, 2-3 of a second generally slower than Michael Taliangic. That's just going, I think that's about what the difference between those two guys is. Tally is just struggling at the moment. He's got no turn in. There's no weight over the front end of this car. It's all in the back, and dynamically, he's just having such a hard time pulling it up. In the meantime, gets to the inside of Paul Burns as Paul Burns missed pulling the car up at the final corner. And I tell you what, that hugely benefits Travis Hunt, because Travis Hunt's now just got this huge run on. Where does he go? He's missed the hole though. For anything, he had to pull out of the draft a little bit earlier, cross over and into the left-hand side of the road. Now he's going to do that as we go 3 wide on the run down to turn 1, Mez. Tally's got the nose here in front. It's going to be Burns who backs out nice and early. Not brave enough on the brakes for the Jig Shifters driver on the overhead, but not getting the job done for Travis Hunt. It was late. It was deep in on the brakes. And he did not get the job done that time by, but this is critical for his race. He's got to get by Paul Burns. He was hoping the hole would present itself, but there was he should have gone somewhere with the overspeed. He had such a momentum off that last corner. They both checked each other up. I reckon he would have had them both if he'd just gone to the outside when he had the momentum.
Yeah, if he committed early, that was the first thing I was thinking, is commit early to that overlap. Obviously, Paul was never going to give you the inside. Tally was going to have that side draft as well, so he wasn't really going to give you the option either. Your only option was really to go to the outside, and maybe it was the fact that he just left it a little bit too late, and he just really overshot himself into the corner. He just ran up too high, and there's no grip out there at all. You're never going to do anything with the car out there. So, yeah, it's beautiful in the drivers looking at it here because we've got the benefit of hindsight, but yeah, or being able to see more things. But yeah, in the driver's seat, it's so hard because you've got to make that split-second decision that you don't have time to sort of sit there and think about it. You've got to trust your instinct and say, look, I'm just going to go with this, and that's what Travis did. He went with what he thought was probably going to be the best option for him, but yeah, it just didn't sort of work out for him.
Yeah, well, now he's going to get another opportunity because they're all coming into the final corner at the moment, and he will get a huge draft off Paul Burns. In the meantime, look at this battle pack for 13th at the moment, with Christian Smart leading the way. Although I get the feeling this one will be strategy affected because Christian Smart was in very, very early in terms of things. Had damage from that run-in with Chris Blanchard and had to pit very, very early on. So he is on ailing rubber at this point in time and trying to rescue a race, which has put him in a reasonable-ish position as it currently stands. In the meantime, 23 of Tim Nichols going to go to the outside. We'll see if Smart is able to pull it up on the older tyres. This will become the inside if Nickel can stay around the outside. Doesn't quite get the power down. He's still down there, though. He's on the left-hand side of the road. Again, it's going to become the outside of the road, but Smart's just got no grip on the front end. Cannot turn the car back to the left. Tim Nickel comes away with it. Big old slide on the exit. This one's not quite done yet because into the background comes Chris Miller at Stewie Hall. Miller gets down the outside of Stuart Hall. Now he's going to send it deep into the chicane as well, and Hall had to check up. So it's all happening for the drivers in the midfield, and the V8 veterans continue. Man, I love this league. I just love this league. There's everywhere you look, there's something happening.
And it's all thanks, a lot of this stuff I'm just looking at now, all these drivers are on different strategies at the moment, and this is why this 2 pit stop CPS I think has done wonders for this championship, for this series, because you see it right now. There's these little battles going on, but it's happening because they're all on different strategies completely. So they're probably not battling as hard as what they would if they were sort of on similar strategies. But again, you're seeing this. You're seeing battles that are popping up. You've got to work your way through the field. It's not just an easy just sit and train it and go for it. Everyone's throwing different things out the window, and they're getting very different results. And yeah, it was asked in the chat where the championship picture is sitting, and look at that. 1598 to 1595. This championship is really going down to the wire.
I'll tell you what, Jeff Thomas is actually starting to skip clear a little bit on Ken Ladder as well. And the interesting factor is those guys are about 4 laps different in terms of fuel. With the other side of the coin, Jeff is going to have to come in, 4 seconds shorter in terms of fuel. So that's probably, 1 to 2 laps in terms of things. So he will have to come to the pit lane a little bit earlier, will Jeff Thomas. But at the moment, he's got a rotating car that's working quite well. There's 3 points between our championship battle. Chrisdale's going to be the first driver to dive to the lane for the run to home. That's significantly earlier than any of us were sort of expecting for a final stop under green flag conditions. So at the moment, he's sort of out of sequence. But Damien Cairns as well. Look at how that strategy's worked out for Damien Cairns. He's probably, only a couple laps away from coming to the pit lane and getting his final stop of the night. But at the moment, sits 5th. He's out of sequence in terms of strategy, but he's not that far out of sequence. I think this is still a top 10 for Damien Cairns when he pops out the other side.
I think if he's up to this, if he's still in P5 and he's coming up to his final pit stop, which is why we've seen this race flow so far, 100% I agree. I think he's set himself up beautifully to get a top 10 here. Just even look at just way the pacing is at the moment. Like Nakateli Ange is down in 7th. He's still a fair way behind. Like, this is actually a significantly good strategy. Like, it's actually kind of amazing. He's only 12 seconds off the lead. Taliangic is 30 seconds down the road as well. So it's roughly, probably with math, but 18-ish seconds, something like that. Like, yeah, it's strategy's worked out beautifully. So I think at this point, even if he does take that stop in the next sort of next few laps, he's still got himself in a really good position. He'll have new tyres, so he can get his head down and keep going again. But yeah, I think he's definitely holding on for at least the top 10.
In terms of pace, there was only one driver on track that last lap that was faster than Damien Cairns. He was 2 tenths, about 2.5 tenths slower than his fastest lap on that most recent lap. And guess what? He is 18 or so laps into that stint. That's a cracking drive. That is a cracking lap from him at that point in time. And he was faster. Scott Gamble up ahead is he's 20 seconds up the road or so. But he matched him in terms of time. Jeff Thomas matched him in terms of time. Took 0.2 of a second out of Ken Ladder. That's how much that fuel on board of Ken Ladder is struggling. It's just ailing that car at the moment. As the fuel burns out, the car's come to life.
Yeah, absolutely. Which is quite odd. We usually don't see it with these cars. Usually it's the fuel that comes out of it and the tyres wear out. They just go backwards. But no, it's having the exact opposite. He's driving this car beautifully at the moment, and the pace is definitely showing. So, although as we say, that is a bit of a slide off the corner. But we're going to check back here with Travis Hunt, who's still hanging behind Taliangic.
I tell you what, he's got an ugly-looking car at the moment. Does Ken Ladder? It doesn't look like it wants to turn. It doesn't look like it wants to drive off the corner. It just looks like it wants to understeer everything.
Yeah, I'm sort of just thinking to myself, something has to. Ken's got to do something at the moment, because although he's still fairly good at the fairly clear at the moment from Taliangic, the fact that he's put it on pole, so Ken has pace, but he's just dropped away from the 2 leaders to about 9 seconds now, which I don't understand that. If it was a fuel saving strat or a tyre saving strat, you'd sort of half expect him to pull it back a little bit, but yeah, I don't sort of get if this is planned, or maybe it's just the fact if it's just that the race pace just isn't there at the moment. He had really good single lap pace, but the race pace is just maybe not there. But yeah, it just does seem odd that for where he started, he really has just not really been able to sit with Gamble and Lobb.
Interesting to note, at the moment, I think Damien Cairns will actually come back out of his pit stop behind Taliangic. that would give us a 1-point championship right now. Now, Ken Ladder's got enough fuel on board that he, at this point in time right now, and when I'm talking right now, it's a toss-up of whether Thomas will come out ahead or Ken Ladder will come out ahead in terms of their pit stops. They are so close together in terms of their effective race strategy. So this is critical. This section of the race for Ken Ladder, he's effectively watching his championship disappear down the road. So if there's someone in his ear right now, they've got to perk him up. Because if this keeps happening, Tally's going to get him on points, and he doesn't have to beat him on the road. It's on points.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, it was just so close coming into it. Yeah, it's just, you know, one hand on the trophy, and it slows everything away. He's really got to get after Jeff and just chase him down. But you can see how far up the road Jeff is. Jeff is just bolted from this one as well. And again, I think pretty sure he took about 4 seconds of less fuel. So that's obviously going to pay itself back later on. But again, just the way he's been able to check off down the road, Ken just has not sort of really presented any pace for the moment. So
and Jeff just took another 0.4 of a second out of him. Jeff just put another 0.4 of a second on him. So this is his championship going down the Gurgler. So if he needs to come out in 3rd spot, if he does that, so effectively right now Tally has to finish the spot behind him. As it stands, Ricky Hyde could decide this championship. So he's
watching the sector time at the moment. So it's a 39.4. Yeah, so 4/10 of the first sector. I'm watching. They're going to start coming up towards the second sector at the moment.
There it is.
32.3 for Jeff Thomas and a 32.5. So he's brought back 4, and then he's lost 0.2 in the middle sector. So again, this is just ebbing and flowing a little bit at the moment. And I believe we're on board with Jeff Thomas at the moment, and you can see not far in front. You can see Scott Gamble not far in front as well. So
monster drive.
Yeah, this has been a cracking drive from Jeff. Darren Lopez just obviously he's 4 seconds. He's just checked off into the distance as well. So yeah, this has been we've got 2 very good drives going on here. Jeff Thomas and Damien Cairns putting on an absolute clinic tonight.
I mean, the question's just been thrown as ladder fuel. I don't think he is. I actually think this is his best pace.
Yeah. Well,
he's not fuel saving. He's not fuel saving. He was on the gas all the way to the braking marker just then. So I can tell you, Ken Ladder is not fuel saving. If he was going to save anywhere, it'd be the run down to turn 1.
Yeah. And that's why I hopped on board early on when the race started, because you could see then the pace was already starting to get dropped off the back. That's why I went and had a look. Okay, is this a fuel saving strategy? No, definitely not. It's just maybe looking after the tyres, but if you're looking after the tyres, you're waiting too long to try and utilise them. He's just dropped right off the back of the leaders. So yeah, big question marks at the moment so far. Talianchich, as we said, started P21, is continuing to buck the trend. He's able to get his way back through the field.
Strategy is a part of that, getting the undercut where he needed to, but also he filled that car up so massively. In terms of things, we've gone back, we've run the numbers on it, and a shout out to Dan Yamin, our producer, for doing that for us. 91.5 litres when he rolled out of the pit bay. It would have been in the 91 to 92 sort of a mark in terms of how much fuel he would have had on the board. So we said 100 earlier in the piece, didn't quite have that much on board, but it was still a hefty load, more than he started the race with. And the key factor is Ken Ladder has got 7 seconds less fuel on board, and they set near identical lap times that last time by. So in terms of things, that's effectively losing from Ladder. So Ladder's long run pace is not great at this point in time, because we were saying Tally just didn't have the turn, didn't have the bite. Car didn't want to rotate because it was big and it was heavy. Well, fuel's starting to burn out, and we're only about 5 laps away. Maximum range for Ken Ladder is about 5 laps away. So he's going to have to pull that trigger, and Jeff Thomas will pull that trigger earlier as well too. Don't forget that.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, this is setting up quite well at the moment for if you're Jeff Thomas. That podium is starting to look very good at the moment. But on screen, we're seeing this battle for 16th, 17th. Stephen Kennedy, Chris Smart, very close on track at the moment. You can see the different lines coming off the corner. Stephen's trying to really straighten the car up and try and keep the rear tyres underneath him, try and use them coming off the corners, heading to the final hairpin. Got to try and wait to pick up the throttle. You've got to be nice and gentle with it. The car just wants to slide coming off the corner. You can see Stephen Kennedy very straight, but no, Chris Smart's going to bolt straight into pit lane.
Remember, he was one of the first takers at that pit stop, so that's probably about as far as he theoretically could have gone. And key factor, for those watching along at home, that is the end of lap 31, start of lap 32. That is splitting the race just about the third. So the run to the flag now for Christian Smart will be significantly easier than that very, very long mid-run. And I tell you, Damien Cairns has also gone to the lane as well. So he will start another ascent back through the field. And this should be good. I'm really keen to see what the lap time will be from the driver of the 88. Michael Stewart's having an average night at the office. I thought there was something in the offering for Michael Stewart tonight. Qualified well. Our first lap didn't go great. The long run pace isn't great. We have seen some good results over Michael Stewart over the last couple of seasons. I love talking to him about it as well. But I think he's taken a backward step in sim racing for him at the moment. Still showing up, still putting the performances in, but it sounds like he's not putting in the same sort of hours, and he's happy with that.
Yeah, I think that the problem is he keeps vanishing in and out. It's a bit hard to drive the car when you keep vanishing in and out all the time.
You're a funny one. Oh! That's earlier than the bulk of us thought Ken Ladder was going to be coming to the lane. This will trigger. There is no way in hell that Jeff Thomas will not pit the next time. Well, does Jeff Thomas go long now on this next stint?
Potentially. Actually, no. Well, he had track position. I think. Actually, no. I think you would. You risk the fact that you may get undercut. So yeah, you are running the risk of being undercut. You got to rely on that if you hit later that you've got the tyres, you can chase them down and pass them. And if Ken Ladder decides to really get into it and drive off, that's going to be a risk. So I think Jeff Thomas has to react to Ken Ladder at the moment.
Well, the key here is that Ken Ladder, when he comes out of the pit lane, it's right in behind Rick Vigor. So he would have been looking for that hole either a little bit further back, which obviously, not great. Obviously, you want to be as far forward up the road. But he would have been looking to come out just ahead of Rick Vigor, and Rick Vigor's now had a bobble as he comes out of turn 3. Now the run down to turn 4, and you can see Ladder wants to get on with it. This is critical for his race. It's going by the wayside, and he needs to clear Vigor, and he's got to clear him early. He's going to get closer and closer at the crest of the hill here. Vigor's now wide. The switch back to the left-hand side of the road. I think he might try and get down the inside. He's trying to get alongside. Rick Vigor just got out of the way. Smart heads up driving by Rick Vigor, and Ken Ladder tips the hat and says, I appreciate that, mate. Thank you very much, because that is going to significantly help his night. Now, what's the response from Jeff Thomas? Does he come to the lane? No, Thomas has continued on, so he's going to run this tank dry and then top it back up. The downside for Ken Ladder is that he is putting wear into those tyres earlier, and it's a heavier fuel load than be going straight back onto those tyres.
Just watching Talianchis. No, Talianchis keeps going as well.
He'll run long. There's no way he'll come early.
He'd have to at this point. There's no way you take a pit stop now, because you're just putting yourself back in the same spot with everyone else. So yeah, he'd have to run long as he possibly can. Maybe try and chat down, close the gap up to Ricky Hyde, which is about 9 seconds at the moment. So if he can chew a little bit of that time out as well. Just quickly looking as well, Talianchit, so 27 seconds to 33 seconds. So that's roughly 5 or 6 seconds as well. So if you can chop that gap down a little bit, there's another spot that he'll grab as well for pit stops.
I'll tell you what, Damien Cairns is only about 7.5 seconds behind Ken Ladder. That has worked out brilliantly for him. That's going to pop him out inside the top 10. He's going to be right on top of Tally, actually, with this stop. This will be interesting.
It's going to be close. Yeah. Damien Cairns could be kingmaker in this one if this goes the way it does. Because where he slots into this one.
Well, at the moment, in terms of things, the way that it sort of stands from our driver's perspective is Michael Taliancic has won a championship. We said at the top of the season, last season, Ken Ladder won the first race of the season, Taliancic won the championship. This season, Michael Taliancic won round number 1. I'll tell you what, if Ken Latta kicks that one off, there's your season 19 statistic. Whoever wins the first race does not win the championship. I'm not showing up week 1 if I'm one of these drivers then.
No. Yeah. does the statistic follow you as well? Much like the safety car thing?
Much like Scott McCune's luck.
So next season, Scott McCune's going to have the greatest season ever. But
wins the championship.
Yeah, absolutely. It all comes around. Ken's got John Latham in front at the moment, but doesn't seem to be too worried. The car doesn't seem to be trying to chase him down too hard, so just maybe waiting this one out a little bit, but we're still waiting to see what's going to happen with these pit stops at the moment. So Lob still running long, Gamble, Ricky Hyde, Talianchich, Paul Burns popping up in the 5th place, Michael Stewart popping up in the 6th as well.
Jeff Thomas is in and out. And he's in and out massive. He's 4 seconds ahead. He's 4 seconds ahead. Has he under fuel? He may have some fuel saving to do. There is a question mark on that one.
No. Jeff Thomas 23 seconds, Kevin Latta 21. That is rough. Oh, actually, it might be a bit low ball. Be 1 or 2 seconds. Sure. Than what we were thinking yet, because I think we had said he had to give back about 4 seconds. He's given it back about 3. So it could be a second shorter on fuel. So there might be a little bit of a fuel saving this one towards the end.
I'll tell you what,
it'd be borderline.
This is Jeff Thomas trying to drive his way inside the top 10 in terms of the championship standings. So he's in with a shout. Don't count him out of finishing inside the top 10. One thing we know, Matt Vanderkrant at this point in time is going to drop right out of it. Where's Troy Stone Street got back to? Interested to keep half an ear on that story. Still 6:24. So reasonable recovery from outside the 30s, back to the 24th after a drive-through penalty early on.
We're going to get live points, maybe. Have a look.
Troy Stone Street has 5 points.
5 points, yeah.
I'm messing with our producer for those of you. Our producer is sitting away frantically tapping away at graphics trying to get things fixed up.
Button.
See, Maz, it's not just you who gets thrown under the bus on a Thursday night.
I think it's the first time I haven't been thrown under the bus on a Thursday night.
Well, you've thrown yourself under the bus now. You've given me free license, so thank you for that.
We're 2 now, 12 more laps.
Mez is looking for his escape. He's down with commentating. He'd sign up with Rankin again? No, he says. There's no way in hell. I'll just do a podcast with him instead.
Yeah. Oh, man. But yeah, battle for 4th on screen at the moment. Travis Hunt. Oh, sorry, for 14th. Not 4th. There's a 1 in front of that one. But yeah, Travis Hunt. Chris Miller coming out of the pits as well. You can just see there. So that'll be some fresh tyres on board for Chris Miller. So it'll be interesting to see how quickly he can make his way through the field. I think he was he just outside the top 10 when he pitted? He was very close to it. He was hanging around there.
Yeah. I think he's about in the same position effectively. I was following Michael Talianchich around, but they always, the JWM cars always don't put a lot of fuel in at that first stop. We're always looking to try and jump track position early on. Take track position from those guys has been the strategy. I can tell you, our top 3 cars, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, are in the lane. They are done. They're going to shell these tyres. This is critical, though. Where are they in terms of the pit lane? Tally, I think if Tally takes another lap here, he will lead a lap, which means he did not cross that start-finish line as the late race leader. So he will need to complete this lap on the track. He should have enough fuel. He should theoretically have enough fuel to go through to lap 42. So chalk a bonus point up. That then changes the equation, Mez, because now that means with the bonus point, Ken Latta will need to beat him by 3 spots. Should neither of them get any more bonus points, and realistically the chance of them getting another bonus point here, the only one that will be on offer is maybe if Tally can string together the perfect lap on low fuel with those fresh tyres and nick fastest lap of the race, which won't have any further bearing on terms of the effective margin. So right now, if he leads this lap, He will need to finish. There will need to be 2 cars that finish in between him and Ken Latta for Ken Latta to be crowned champion. As it stands, as it currently stands.
Because we've seen, so Ken Latta's led the opening lap. He got pole position, so there's 2 bonus points. Taliancic's led a lap, so there's a bonus point there as well.
Not yet.
One at the end of this one, we're expecting, so there'll be a bonus point there as well.
Darren Lobb's comfortably got the fastest lap of the race at the moment, so I don't think that's going to go anywhere. So yeah, it's really only 1 point at the end of the day. There's only really 1 point from the bonus points it's playing into, so it's 4 points on track basically, which is basically 3 spots. And that's
because remember,
crazy this whole thing is.
If they tie on points, Latta must win the race, or Taliancic has better tiebreakers at that point in time. If they tie and Ken Latta wins the race tonight, that means that Ken Latta will win the championship, but he must win. He must get the win to settle that breakers.
Just got
points now ticked on.
So we have to wait. It's really going to make a difference when we actually see Taliancic take his pit stop and where he actually pops out in this one. Again, Ken Latta is still about 5. He's at 5 seconds off Jeff Thomas at the moment, so he's still actually dropping off the back of Jeff Thomas. So he needs that spot. He needs to get back into P3. And at the moment, Jeff Thomas is actually starting to skip away from him as well.
Well, just Thomas having enough fuel. Oh, he skipped away from him massively.
Yeah, that's it. He's carrying on with it by quite a margin.
And something's happened there, for sure. So in terms of things, 49.252 on the lap 36 for Ken Latta, 49.295 in the most recent lap. The first lap out of the box, remember he got caught up in a little bit of traffic, 48.9, was not setting the timing charts alight on that one. His best lap of the race, though, was lap 35, 48.674, and then it's 36.37 as we just discussed. Whereas if we have a look at Jeff Thomas, he's only done 2 laps since he came out of the pit. Now, he's done a 48.285, but there's an incident point on that lap, so his best lap's a 48.3. He's absolutely walking away from it.
And just to throw, looking at the sector times, Darren Lobb and Scott Gamble are looking as though they might take the fastest lap away from both and even more, because they are actually neck and neck to get to the line. So fastest lap, Darren Lobb will pump in another fastest lap, but now we're going to wait and see what Scott Gamble does.
Oh, 47.7, it's a banger.
Oh, that's a big lap time from Scott Gamble. So he's going to take that point away from both of them. Though Taliancic still needs to pit, so Taliancic could still effectively come out on fresh tyres and try and take that 1 point away for the fastest lap. But that is a mega time from Scott Gamble, so I'm not sure if we'll see that bonus point go to anyone else tonight.
I'm just interested. I'm going to dig back through his laps during the practice session and just see. He set no laps during the practice session, so we've got no better data to work from at the moment available to us right now, ladies and gents. His best qualifying lap was only a 48.9. Got an incident point on his first lap, cancelled it, and made a mistake, or there was something on that second lap, was only good enough for a 48.9. So that says he'd have to find 1.2 seconds from his quali lap. Now, I'm going to say that he's obviously significantly better than that. His best lap in the race last fall was a 48.3. So, you know, there's still something in the water there. He could take it, but he's got to do a lot to it. And the end result is that it's really actually not going to change things too much. In actual fact, it has no effect on the championship.
Yeah. It's not going to be a huge throw at it, but yeah, it's obviously in a situation. The point more would obviously help Ken Latta in this situation, but yeah, the way things are at the moment, yeah, it's not really going to shift the dial too much. But yeah, we're just looking on screen at the moment. Chad Lewis, who's
Tally's in. Tally is in this time by. Championship, ladies and gentlemen, it's about to be decided. Final pit stops of the season number 18 RaceKraft V8 Veterans are underway. The final drive to come to the lane. Who is going to come out the other side champion? This stop will decide it, but we're going to stay with the battle on screen at this point in time because this is a cracker as well. Lewis has pulled his way inside the top 10. Paul Burns would love a top 10 to finish the season off, and he's inside the 10 at the moment. Still in with a shout. And Michael Stewart's only just behind these guys as well. So this will be where it is. Where does Tally resurface though? Post pit stop. He's rolling down the pit lane at the moment. Ken Ladder's gone through. He's in fourth. Ricky Hyde's gone through. As it stands, Ken Ladder would be your champion, but the margin's there. It's on the table, and now Tally's going to be released. You are about to see a Kiwi fired up, and a Kiwi who's about to go and see if he can hunt down Ricky Hyde. Ricky Hyde is going to be the kingmaker.
Yeah. Is it actually going to be one position, or is no? It's three spots. So yeah, so Ricky Hyde is literally going to be what stands between Ken Ladder and Taliancic winning this championship.
He's got 9 laps. He's got 9 laps to do it. I tell you what, this lap doesn't look good. It doesn't look great. He's already widened a couple of apexes for Tally. Boys, we've got a barnstormer to come through, and it's not even your championship contenders going head to head. Darren Lobb's gone, he's into the sunset, he leads by 5 seconds, so the race is decided, but oh boy.
Ken Ladder really nearly needs that third spot, and he is about 5 seconds back at the moment, so
he's not going to get it.
There's no way, unless he puts an absolute clinic on in the last part of this race, it's just not happening at this point.
Well no, so the margin at the moment is 4 points, is it not? Can we get live points as it currently stands?
It was 2. It was 2 points.
Okay, it's 2 points. 2 points in favour of Ken Ladder?
Yeah, don't try and throw Daniel in the bus 2 times tonight. Calm down.
I was looking everywhere, okay? I was getting excited. I was getting worked up, Mez.
There we go. He's even give you a comparison as well. So isn't Daniel doing such a good... We love Daniel. He does such a good job on Thursday nights. We don't say thank you enough for Daniel for the effort he puts in on Thursdays.
And ladies and gentlemen, that is the view that Michael Taliancic has got at the moment, and Ken Ladder's teammates will be informing him in the box at the moment. That'll settle his nerves. He's been struggling for pace. He's been ailing. He's been walking around. He's really not had anything in this last half of the race. Jeff Thomas has found another gear to go on with. And if you were sitting in Ken Ladder's shoes, you might have been biting fingernails, you might have been biting toenails, you might have been biting limbs off with the amount of nerves going through. And it came down to qualifying for Taliancic. If he was a little bit further on the grid, he'd have this thing in the bag at the moment. It'd be Ladder who'd have to find something.
That's the thing. It's definitely looking towards Ladder needing to do something at the moment. Again, I think he's still dropping back. It's 5.3. Actually, that gap has actually kind of stabilised a little bit. I don't think it's actually rocked us, gone out as much as what we may think. So the gap might be a bit closer, but at the same time, it's still quite a considerable margin. We'll have a look at the last up as well. So Jeff Thomas in the 6th. Oh, yeah, quite a significant difference there. About the same into the first sector. Oh, Ken Ladder has actually opened it up here. 39.3, 39.1 in the first sector, 32.3, 32.2. So Ken Ladder has pulled back 3/10 so far. We'll wait and see when they get to the start-finish line.
We're going to run out of time, Mez, before that's relevant.
If he starts getting into it now, he could pull it back. We're looking at the moment to 39.5, 39.3. So again, it's only about 2/10 there as well. So yeah, obviously now that's not going to play a huge much, but if he starts getting into it, you never know what can happen. This could come down to the wire in both regards.
Does Jeff Thomas have enough fuel? You take control here for a moment, Mez. I'm going to wait for him to jump onto a straight. When he comes back to the start-finish straight next time by, I'm going to go have a chat with Jeff Thomas just quickly, just say, hey, have you got enough fuel? Because that'll be critical. They're okay with it.
You're a pit reporter. Extraordinaire. You're going to run from the pit box down, run from the Cosmos down to the pit box. That quick.
I'm going to take off one headset and put another on. That's what I'm going to do.
Loves it, but just realizing how bringing up the bubble as well, and this has changed quite a bit too. So Scott Gamble still comfortably going to keep himself inside there. Travis Hunt, Chris Blanchard drop a spot, but he's still going to stay in there. Dan Hall, drops quite a number of spots, but will stay put. The big one, Paul Burns, has managed to pull himself up 3 spots as well. Damien Cross, who was sitting right on the bubble, is now dropped right out of it as well. So Paul Burns sitting 10th at the moment, and now he's got Jay McKnight in, he does have Jay McKnight in front at the moment as well. McKnight's definitely well within the top 20, so there's no concerns there. But another spot here for Paul Burns, just to sort of seal himself in a little bit. But this is what we're sort of saying. Tonight's the last night to really use that end of season. And Paul Burns was one of those that end of the season was really starting to put the pace down and really showing what they're capable of. And now we're actually starting to see how that's paying off. He's going to get himself just inside the top 20. So a little bit on the back of Jay McKnight at the moment.
Guess what?
We're flicking.
Guess what?
What?
It's absolute silence. Jeff Thomas is in race mode. He didn't say a word, did not blink, did not hesitate. There was nothing said. There was absolute radio silence. So I got no clue. Can't tell you.
Yeah. So just being told to pay attention to something at the moment. Oh, Ricky Hyde, a 149.2. Mark Taliagic at 148.5. He is chunky time out at the moment. Currently, that gap is only 2.3 seconds. This rate, Taliagic will get to Ricky Hyde. It's just how long Taliagic can keep those tyres holding on for, and how long Ricky Hyde can keep those tyres holding on for. So this is just going to be a battle of pure pace all the way to the end. And on these numbers, very much we'll look at the first sector as well. Ricky Hyde, 39 dead. Michael Taliagic just 39 dead in the first sector as well. So we'll watch them. They're going to trip over to the second sector as they run up this hill. Actually, I believe it's actually just after this point here. Wait and see if he's been able to pull that gap in.
The only factor, Mez, is just keep a thought in the back of your mind. What we think that Ken Ladder's picked up an incident point somewhere. That's worth 2 points. We think. We can't confirm that until the race ends. We will have no data on that until post the checkered flag. Because if we know for sure Tally's got one, Tally's got a 2x for sure. We can pen that in. Absolutely is not getting the bonus points. We don't know about Ken Ladder. He's had no car contact, so that we can be certain. And I just can't... I haven't done any laps at Mugello, is basically what I'm saying to you.
Yeah. I've done laps around Mugello, but not enough to do much and not enough to really say too much. But you can see on screen at the moment, that gap has just plummeted 1.1 seconds in it. That was a shocking lap from Ricky Hyde, and that is just taken a lot of time. And now Taliagic is going to be in draft range too. We know how powerful the draft is at the moment. Question is, how hard is Ricky going to fight this one? Yeah, absolutely dirty air as well. So that could affect the front tyres as well. How much can Tally lean on these tyres if he gets closer to it? But like I said, how hard is Ricky going to fight this? Is he going to be like, no, I want P6, I'm going to hold on to this one? Or is he going to see this is a championship battle that I don't want to get involved in?
Does he know?
Yeah, exactly. Does he know as well?
Does he know that this is relevant to the championship standings at this point in time? He may not have a clue. And for Ricky Hyde, think about this. This is significantly his best finish at the moment.
And you also... Yeah, and you always want to end the season on a high note. And we spoke about this in the past in other rounds. You know, you get to the final round and you have a really, really good race. It really helps you go into the next season. We've seen it a couple of times with a couple of drivers have a really good back into the season. They start off next season with a really good foot forward. And this could be the same thing with Ricky Hyde. You could be looking at this and seeing that this is an opportunity to bank a really good result. Something to think about for next season. But Ricky Hyde, very, very wide. But he's just taking an alternate line at the moment. He's just an alternate line. So he's doing that method where you sort of run out the middle of the corner, then arc it back and drive off the corner. You'll probably find they'll be about the same coming off the corner, with just the way he's arcing it. But even then, still, he's closed up a bit more that last lap. was a 49 dead to a 48.3, so still 0.8 of a second. Yeah, this is very much becoming, it's not really becoming a question anymore. I think it's going to be basically a spoiler at this point that I think Talyancic, he's got enough laps to get this done. I think this is Talyancic to lose at the moment.
Well, here's the thing. It's championship night. Neither of these two drivers have been put in a position where they've had to... Last season, it was over. It was not done, but it was done to the point that something major had to happen. It's been a long time since we've had a championship battle go into the final race of the season. These two guys weren't in it the last time it happened. That's how long ago it was. These two guys were sort of hanging around. They weren't quite up at the pointy end. Now they are. Now everything's going on. Ken Latter's done all he can possibly do at this point. He can have no influence on this race result. Michael Talyancic can, and he's gonna need his team working alongside him. There's a wiggle there. That runs out in a little bit of time. We've got 4 to go. It's less than 3.5 to go now as they come down to turn number 12 on lap 45 of a season number 18. That's 10 rounds long. There was a 300 race in there. Remember back to Zandvoort. I hope he's not thinking about Zandvoort, because if he's thinking about Zandvoort, the contact with Matt Vanderkraan at that round, you know, he could be thinking about all the wrong things. He's had to put a new team together. He's had to put a new partnership together, and he nearly put a new championship together. Last season's champion, Michael Talyancic, now sits in the toe. This is for the championship win. It's not the guy that he's fighting for the championship, but this is still very important. Ricky wants a good result. Tally's going to force him. He's going to go the long way round. Down to turn number 1, and Ricky backs out of it. Tally has a big wiggle. He didn't quite pull the car up. He was going to get the job done, but now Ricky Hyde gets back down to the inside. They're going to go side to side when they get down to turn number 2. Still on the inside is Talyancic. Ricky Hyde stays alongside. This one's not done, boys. He's still alongside. They tangle. It's not done. They're going to go to turn 4. Now Tally's back to the inside. He's got a few extra laps. It doesn't have to be here. It doesn't have to be now, and it's going to have to wait another half lap longer, because Ricky Hyde still puts Ken Latter atop of the points table when it's all said and done.
Oh, I was looking at that, I could see them just rubbing each other a little bit, and I was just thinking, come on, Talyancic, don't push too hard, because you really can't afford a penalty at this point. If there's any contact at all, just cannot afford it. He's got laps up his sleeve. He'll have 2 to go when he gets to the line. We know how good this thing is in the draft. We know how good he is in the final corner. He does not need to rush this. He has time. So now it's just going to be a fact of sitting back in the saddle a little bit and try and reassess it. He's fallen off a little bit just from that fighting. It would have heated the tyres up a little bit. So he's just going to reset himself a little bit. Yep.
Sit back, take a breath. If there's a teammate sitting with him, he goes, mate, back yourself in here. Don't be nervous. You know you can do this. We know you can do this. There's no point to take a risk here. You've got to do it, but you've got a little bit of time on your side. They get to the last corner. Ricky Hyde finally gets the car hooked up at the final corner, but it's a long, long front straight. And now Ricky Hyde gets a reasonable drive off, but here comes the 21. He's wound it up. There's a few extra ponies under the hood at the moment for Michael Talyancic. You'll pull it alongside. It's Mugello. It's a new track to the iRacing circuit. It's the hills of Italy. And Talyancic once again gets the nose ahead down to turn number 1. Another wiggle under brakes. Hyde pulls back alongside. Good drive on the mid-corner from the number 031 at this point in time, Ricky Hyde. We got here last lap. Now Tally's a little bit further ahead. Not quite clear. Not quite clear when they get to turn number 3. Still side by side. The championship. He can feel it. He can reach out. He can touch it. Now he's clear for half a moment. Michael Talyancic leads the championship with 2 laps left to run.
That was well timed. He lined that up and just did it one by one. Ricky's not letting this go though. He still wants this position. He fought hard and was questioning whether or not he was going to give that one away. Well, that was answered. He was not going to let him have that without a good fight. He still won't let him have it without a fight. So Ricky Hyde tucking in behind. He's not out of this one by the looks of it. He's still holding on to the back of Talyancic, but has he got enough left in the car? He fought hard to try and keep Talyancic behind, but couldn't do it.
think, Mez, he's not been good on the brakes as Michael Taliancic down at turn number 1. He's had a big wiggle the last 2 laps. This time, Ricky Hyde, even if he doesn't get great drive, it's a long, long front straight. There's a ton of time to think about it. There's a ton of time to get the overspeed from the drive, and we're heading to the final lap of the V8 Veterans Championship, proudly brought to you by RaceKraft, proudly brought to you by Player One Sim Gear, Parramatta Isuzu Utes, Nova Sim Sports, and there was one more in the mix. I can't put my eyes on it at the moment because I've got my eyes on what's going to decide a championship. Think about it for Michael Taliancic. He's put together a new partnership. He was a team manager at Altus Esports Australia. He won it last season. He's changed careers. He's moved states. He's moved all around. This could be back-to-back championships for the 21. This is it. 5.5 kilometres. It's now under 5 kilometres to go. It's 1 lap at Mugello, and he has it. It's a net even gain on the points. Think about Ken Latta. If he actually gets himself a 0x race, this is educational only. This will mean nothing because Ken Latta will win it. But as it stands, it is going to be Michael Taliancic. He gets through the first sector. He survived task number 1. Now it's task number 2, and he was wide. He was wide down there in turn 5 and 6. Now he's under assault. Ricky Hyde wants to steal the lap. Gave him space. Tally's offline. They're going side by side, Bez. I don't believe it. Ricky Hyde has found 6th gear. He's pulled it out at the last. Now he's down the inside. Tally's going to go the long way round. He's going to understeer here at the bottom of the hill. There's a half lap left to run. 2.6 kilometres. He thought at the start of the lap, I've got this wrapped up. He made a mistake, and now Hyde shoves it down the inside. We're not done. We're at turn 10. Now the flick back to 11. Ricky Hyde looks for the drive out the other side. And I tell you what, Ken Latta is a Ricky Hyde fan. He looks for the fake. He looks for the crisscross. Gets into the back of him. Nudges him, Mez. I can't believe what I'm watching.
It's done. He's not going to run off the corner. I was waiting to see if he could get off the corner. I don't think he's going to get there. This is going to be a superhuman bomb if he can think he can get it there, but it's not happening. That's it. It's done. It's over. He's
not done. It's not done. Get a good drive through the middle of the corner. Ricky tries to get the throttle down. He's out of it. He's out of it for now. And right now, Ken Latta will sit down. He'll shake Ricky Hyde's hand at the end of the race and say, you gave me a really big crack in this thing, but it's not over, ladies and gentlemen. Darren Lobb will win the race. We never even checked in with him throughout the race. He wins it. Ken Latta comes home in 4th. Michael Taliancic in 6th. They will tie on points unless Ken Latta gets home with a 0 incident race, at which point Latta wins the championship and we bite our nails and wait.
Yeah. Where's the results tab? Where is the results tab? Maybe we can poke race control and they can tell us what was
No, they can't tell us. They can't tell us yet. We've got to wait for the flag. Just wait. Just wait.
I want to know now.
Just wait.
Oh, man. That is mental. That is just honestly, not gonna lie, that last 2 laps, my heart was just beating out of my chest. That was just a crazy, imagine being in the driver's seat, but that was just a massive end to this championship. They pushed each other the entire way, and again, both these drivers, we've seen it. Ken Latta will drive his way through the field, get a result. The Taliancic will drive through the field and get a result. And once again, we've seen it. Both drivers.
It's in. Ken Latta picked up 1 incident point from 48 laps at Mugello, 250 kilometres. And this championship came down to the final lap of the final race. Ricky Hyde gave it his absolute all. I can guarantee Ken Latta will know when he got that incident point. That is how close it was. Over 10 races, 10 rounds of stunning wall-to-wall racing. It's flipped. It's flopped. Michael Taliancic won the first race of the season. He had a cracking... Sorry, it was Ken Latta who won the first race. No, it was. That was last season. My apologies. The lack of oxygen's gone to the brain, boys. The lack of oxygen is certainly having an impact here at the moment. I'm not going to be able to talk tomorrow, Mez. I'm not going to be able to talk.
Oh, I can't even talk now. Let's be honest. Also worth noting as well, Darren Lobb only 1 second in front of Scott Gable for second. So the 2 drivers who were just going hell for leather for just the race win. And Sorry, just listening in at the moment. There's lots of conversations going on at the moment.
Everyone's just chatting and saying how great it was.
Yeah. But anyway, let's get through this one first. Darren Lobb takes the win. Of course, sensational drive. Scott Gamble comes home in second. Jeff Thomas, take your hat off. That was a sensational effort to pick up the podium. Ken Latta just needed one more spot to get the job done. Comes home in P4. Damien Cairns, solid effort as well. Also take your hat off. Managing to get home with a top 5. A sensational effort there. Mike Taliancic, P21 all the way to P6. It gets himself the championship. Ricky Hyde, hats off to Ricky Hyde. He fought hard to try and keep onto that 6th spot, but will come home in 7th. Chad Lewis in P8. J.M. McKnight coming home in P9. Michael Stewart will round out the top 10. Fantastic effort in the final race for the season from Michael Stewart. We'll flip over. Paul Burns comes home in P11. Chris Miller coming home in P12. Travis Hart coming home in 13th. Stewie Hall in 14th. Greg Sharp coming home in 15th. John Latham in 16th. Robbie Griffiths home in 17th spot. Stephen Kennedy home in 18th. Tim Nicol in 19th. And rounding out the top 20 will be Robert Crisdale.
Oh, boys. I haven't done the back 20. Mez normally does the back 20, but I can tell you, I'm still gathering up. I don't know if you can hear how croaky I am already. I want to talk to Ricky Hyde because I don't know if he knew he just decided a championship. But for Rick Vigor, finishes in 21st. Christian Smart, Troy Stone Street, man, tough night at the office for him. Could have finished third in the championship and just it all come unstuck on lap number 1. Rick Sebra from Dave Kirby. Man, that's a long way back for Dave Kirby. Won't be happy with that one. David Nash involved in that one from lap number 1 as well with Troy Stone Street. Mario Reale, the last car on the lead lap. Bruce Tannock returns to the series to try and clear out some license points and show up again next season around. Brenton O'Brien and Damien Cross off the lead lap inside your top 30 before we'll flick it over to the final page for season number 18 for your RaceKraft V8 veterans. Chris Blanchard also at 1 lap down. Damon Fisher at 2 laps down. Michael Quain hung the hat up in the end. Matt Vanderkraan lost power and would have finished third in the championship, boys. That will hurt. That will sting for a very, very long time for Matt Vanderkraan. Unfortunately, power outages 2 weeks in a row. Weston, Fisher, and Saunders not in this split entered the wrong service, so ignore them off the timing tower. Boys, at the moment, I can tell you there's 3 guys that are keen to chat to us as it currently stands. As we have it, they finished tied on points, and I don't think there's a better way to end a season than being tied on points. The countbacks in terms of things, Michael Taliancic has 1 more races. If they were to tie on points, Ken Latta had to win tonight. If so, and they tied on points, he would have won the championship, but it's not to be. Altus Australian Fishing Motorsports finish atop the pile on 1598 points each provisionally. Remember, keep your eyes out on the V8 Veterans Discord, and indeed, I get the feeling we might have to post this to the SimSpeed Facebook page because there'll be people wanting to check in and wanting to know that result confirmed over the next couple of days. Darren Lobb finds his way into P3 at the last after winning the last race of the season. Jamie McKnight up into 4th. Troy Stone Street does finish inside the top 5, but 1 step down from where he started the night. Michael Stewart will be happy with 6th in the championship. Jeff Thomas on the podium will be cracking with that one. Chad Lewis just in behind him had a consistent season. Dave Kirby will finish way down in terms of where he would have been happy with, and Rick Sieber rounds out your top 10, boys. And we're going to move into your podium and your championship discussions and a whole bunch more. We'll probably work our way up the rostrum for guys who weren't in championship contention. We might get Ken Latta and Tally in to chat together because they're always going to be happy to chat. But we'll start with Jeff Thomas, who I think is going to be licking his lips to talk to us because I tried talking to him, 10 laps ago? We didn't know if you had enough fuel, but you did.
Yeah, sorry, I had Discord muted. I was talking. Sorry. By the time I worked it out, you were gone. and it was always safe as houses. I had at least 1.5 litres in the tank at the line.
1.5 litres? That's burnout fuel, mate.
Correct.
In terms of things, you didn't think you'd be in contention with things tonight. Tyre burning tracks, the way the strategy's gone with the 2 compulsory pit stops has been to underfill the car a little bit so she rotates really nicely, particularly with a lot of the long flowing corners here. That worked really, really well for you. Pace supreme in that middle stint of the race tonight.
Yeah, that middle stint was really good, and I was quite surprised at it, actually. But I knew I had pretty good race pace, and it was a case of get qualifying done and then just get away cleanly. And I had a bit out of a hand there that I sort of knew there was an incident behind me, first lap on turn 2, 3. So that gave me a little bit of breathing room, and then I just needed to get my head down and stick with Kenny. And try and save some fuel, really. See how the rest went.
In terms of things, I spoke to you prior to the stream. You said, there's going to be 3 safety cars for sure tonight. What happened?
No, that was Trav. I was adamant that there would be none tonight, so it might have been wishful thinking on my behalf, because normally if I can just get into a good rhythm, no safety cars, I tend to do better.
Mate, in terms of things, that fills you with just an uber amount of confidence heading into next season. You know, you've had splash in the pan pace now. There's been on the podium. What is the difference that's making this happen more consistently? How do you take that next step up and be in that top 3 or so, or fighting for a championship at the end of the season?
That's a bloody good question, Scott. This field is very, very competitive. So if you're having a little bit of an off week, doesn't take much to be a little bit off the pace. If you don't qualify well, you can be stuck in the pack. So this is my first season full manual, so I'm heel towing. So that probably knocked me around a little bit, but I'm starting to sort of get there with it, I'm hoping. So hopefully that sets me up nicely for next season.
Mate, in terms of things, you'll be sitting there, you'll be celebrating that one back. What was the ride like? Talk to us a little bit about Mugello, because the hills of Italy, it oozes fame, it oozes fortune around this place. There's something in the air. Could it be that splash of red on a Formula 1 car that goes around somewhere?
I think it's more the splash of red on a Ducati, when Jack Miller or Casey Stoner used to ride them, but there is something about it for me. I've watched and, really followed MotoGP for a long, long time. And, I've driven this track a long time ago, probably Formula 1 97 on a PlayStation 1 or something crazy like that. But this is the first time I've really been here in a decent sim. And, it was lovely, the flow, the ups and downs. And I think it just suits my style around here. So, I wouldn't say it was nostalgic, but, you're definitely thinking about who's been here before, that's for sure.
Mate, in terms of things, the floor's all yours, because I know this is going to be a popular one. You'll be back and watching this one over the next couple of days. We can see you on the sim, by the way. Do you want to turn around, look at the camera, and give us a good old wave? It hasn't fallen off tonight.
No, the pug didn't knock it over tonight, so that was good. So,
Mate, you can look straight down the barrel of the camera if you can reach, and say thank you to all your sponsors.
Yeah, I mean, we're a little team, JWME Motorsport, just a bunch of mates, really, that, got together. We're all like-minded, so I want to thank the whole team, Everyone, sort of helps each other out where we can. It's a really good little community we got going. I got Trav there. I don't have him in my ear all the time because he's normally chatting to his stream, but the practice time what we have together is really good, and I appreciate everything he gives back to me, and I hope the same in reverse. Heaps of sponsors, don't know most of them. Brewed Coffee, of course, is all over the car. Tough Customs, I think TCR, Fabrications, just to name a few. But thanks very much to Race Control, obviously. It's a thankless job, we all know that. I think they do a fantastic job, and we're really happy for anyone that puts their hand up to do it, because otherwise, we wouldn't be racing each week. And you guys do a great job in the stream, so thanks to all the other drivers and all the guys on the podium. Great drive tonight. So not sure how it panned out for the championship. We were chatting, so it'll be interesting to see what happened.
It's a dead heat, mate. Don't you tell them. Don't you talk. Don't you spoil the party to those guys, because we want to spoil it for them at the moment. So
that's right. That's what we had figured out, and then we were thinking count back and whatnot. But apparently Kenny might have got an instant point after the line. So.
Oh, you're kidding!
When he was doing burnouts, apparently that's when it came. So that's what he reckons anyway. So that doesn't count in what I understand is if it happens after the line, that's just got to be sorted out. So it gives you something to look into.
No.
I'll leave that hand grenade and. But
he's just dropped the whole hand grenade and just.
Yeah, you just pulled the pin on that one. Do you want to just set off the what do hand grenades come? I've never been in the military, so what are the hand grenades coming? Do they come in a pack of 12? I think you just set all 12 off.
I don't know. I'm Air Force, mate. So we didn't take that shit with big bombs.
My word.
They get the good ones in the Air Force.
Oh, what have you done? What have you done to us,
I'm
Jeff?
just telling you what the talk is in the green room. So, passing on. So it gives you time to try and see what you think.
All right. Well, thank you very much for your time. Thanks for dropping that one. And yeah, congratulations tonight, mate. And we'll chat to you again. Well, yeah, okay. Won't be next season, certainly for Mez and myself, but the SimSpeed crew, I'm sure, will be around into the future, mate. Thank you very much for joining us.
No worries. Thanks, lads. See us.
I'm gonna leave Mez to do this next interview because I'm lost for words at this point in time as it currently stands, and it's being discussed with the stewards as we understand. Ladies and gentlemen, Simon Mazzamo and Scotty Campbell on that bombshell.
Righto. We'll try and do this interview, Scott, but the other Scott seems to have gone hyperventilating. But phenomenal drive tonight, picking up second place. Obviously, really good battle with Darren Lobb at the end there. We could see it was very, very close between you. And obviously, championship wasn't on the cards this season, but nonetheless, it's been a fantastic season from you.
Yeah, thanks guys, Simon. Yeah, it was a tough race. I sort of, after that first pit stop, I'm not feeling great. I've actually got a bucket beside me just in case. And I went to sleep. I was like going to sleep doing the laps, and I just wasn't pushing hard enough. And then after the second pit stop, I realised, hey, I need to push. What's Darren doing 5 seconds up ahead? So yeah, I got a little bit caught out there, and he raced really well, and he pushed on. So it was a good to see Jeff up there in P3 as well.
That's the thing. New track tonight, so we got to see a few different faces sort of making their way through the field. Damien Cairns was another one as well. He managed to come in at P5. How did you take to this track? Obviously, I don't think a lot of people have sort of said that they've done many laps around here. How did you sort of find it?
I played Forza a lot, and Mugello was my favourite track of all time. But the issue of trying to transfer from Forza thinking to iRacing thinking, it's a big gap, and yeah, I had to unlearn a lot of stuff and relearn it. But it's a good track. I think there's a lot of potential for this track to definitely run enduros and all sorts of stuff like that. So yeah, I really enjoy it, and I hope we see more of it in the future.
Was that a slight recommendation for a future Scops car to make sure Mugello's in the endurance slot?
I was just putting it in there and used it with as will.
But yeah, obviously, yeah, solid way to end the season. Looking to next year, is the plan much the same? Just race where you can and go for the wins?
Yeah, pretty much. I know I'll be away there maybe 1 or 2 rounds. Got a bit of a trip coming up there, so yeah, it's just get out, have fun, race away. Like, I enjoy racing Darren Lobb. He's fantastic on track, and and being a real life racing driver himself, it's good to race against guys like that. Ken, Michael, they I think I know which way it's going to go with that if they're consistent with their ruling on it, but we'll see how it goes. Been fantastic of them, and it's been really interesting to watch that unfold throughout the season and not be part of it. But hey, guys, if you give us an opportunity, we're going to send it. And yeah, so it's been really good.
Mate, buy in. Don't hold back. What are your thoughts?
Okay, well, I'll tell you, if they're going to show some consistency, right, and beat me up if you're wrong, but if all the cars have not finished the lead lap and you get an off track, that's counted as an off track. And I've fought with race control over it before. I even proved that I'd done it, and it was at Uschleifen, and it was back when Mark Duggan was racing. And I said, but I had a clean race, and I could prove I was sitting up there taking photos off track after the race. And they said, yes, but not all the cars are finished. You cannot get your bonus points. It's an off track. So there you go.
Which is consistent, because the only way that it counts, and I like the system because it's the same, and every league has this problem. I don't recall a single league that has ever said we give bonus points for 0x races that has never had this problem. Every single league, and the result is always the same. You until the last car crosses that start-finish line, keep it inside the lines, boys, if you want bonus points.
Yeah, absolutely. That's it. That's exactly what it is.
But why risk it? Why celebrate until after that happens? Well, someone obviously didn't tell him, and maybe Ken didn't realise.
and that's a real cruel blow. Like, I really feel for him, because to get a 0x on this track during the race is a phenomenal effort. Like, it's difficult because there's some 1x's that really creep up on you. So he drove phenomenal, and it's a real shame, but I guess that's what it is.
If he did, by the way, just having a quick look in server, he would have been the only driver to have done the full race, to have earned points tonight, to have gotten a 0x finish. So he would have been the only one. My word.
Yeah, and I think if he had picked up a 1x early, we might have seen Ken start to push on and go, well, bugger it, I'll use them up. So, and maybe he might have finished elsewhere on track, you know. So he obviously drove for the 0x's, and then it's really unfortunate. I feel for him at the moment, but like we say, that's my opinion. We'll see what race control and admin have to do about it afterwards.
Yeah, that is, and that's the thing. It kind of explains what we're saying, because we were sitting up in the comms box thinking, like, because we could see yourself and Darren were just sort of taken off into the distance, and there wasn't really a lot of pace being shown from Ken. So that kind of explains it. Maybe underdriving the car a little bit to make sure it did not get that off track, and obviously that was the thought championship wise. So 100% correct. It's so easy to do, because you always forget about that. You think once you cross the finish line, that's it, your race is done, there's no more. But the iRacing system continues to count until everyone's across that start finish line. And it's always one of those little things you got to keep in the back of your mind. That's why it's always good to teach yourself, no matter what. If you want to do burnouts, get yourself all the way back to the start finish line and then do them, because by the time you get back there,
he didn't have the fuel, by the way.
Even then, the rule still applies. Get yourself as far as you can, because then everyone's finished, or everyone's gone across the line by then.
He ran out coming back up the hill. At the back end of the track, turn 8, turn 9, he ran out of fuel, so he never would have made it back to do burnouts. But either way, I'd shut down the car. I would have done everything I possibly can. Why take the risk?
Yep, absolutely.
Okay. In terms of things, thank you very much for your time, Scotty. Much appreciated, mate. Have we given you an opportunity to thank the sponsors, by the way?
No, not yet, but let me share it with you. So, big shout out to WKMP. I've been with them a couple of seasons now. They're a great bunch of guys over there. We've recruited well. I'm looking forward to season 19. We've got some good drivers coming through, especially in vets, and they're going to take on a bit of Scops as well, I believe. So that should be good fun. And shout out to all the drivers in V8 Vets, the guys and girls. You make it what it is. It's been really good fun. We've had some challenges early in the season, but it's all come through, and everyone's giving everyone hugs at the end. So it's been great. Well done to Darren and Jeff and Ken and Michael. Well, we'll see what happens. And thanks to you guys over at SimSpeed. Your broadcasts are second to none, and it's really great to be a part of it. And thanks for giving us the time to share. And don't forget, anyone, a veteran, open arms, 24/7, they're open. If they need some help, shout out that they're on the phone. Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much, Scott. Much appreciate it. And believe we've got Darren Lobb that's sitting down. Yep. We'll try and drag him up, see if he can unmute his mic and have a chat with Scott.
Lobby, you there?
I'm unmuted. I've been itching, waiting to talk to you guys. I'm waiting so long I lost my voice.
That was going to be one of my questions. There is a bug floating around in my house at the moment as well. So, but that's not the reason I'm a little bit croaky at this point in time. We just got to witness an absolute stunner, and I get the feeling you kind of went to sleep up the front.
Yeah, it was boring. I'm actually busy. I'm busy watching the last 3 laps with Ricky and Tally. Man, I didn't even. Yeah, I'm busy watching it now. It's flipping epic. I didn't even realize that that pass on the last lap or whatever it was for the championship. I'm starting to understand, but holy shit, that was epic.
Mate, in terms of things, it's been a reasonably consistent season. We've double-checked the points in terms of where you're sitting at the moment. It's going to come home P3. Matt Vanderkrum was actually the guy who missed out in terms of P3 with power issues. And then the other guy you were sort of fighting was with Troy Stone Street, an incident on lap 1. Qualifying didn't go your way here tonight. In terms of things, you had to certainly come through, but you just got a stonking start straight down the inside and get on with the job from there.
Yeah, qualifying frustrated me the whole season, to be honest. But I suppose when you exit the first lap and you're in P3, it doesn't really, you've made up for your bust up in qualifying. I bought the track on Tuesday night, and I've managed to get up to speed quite quickly on it, and I was running offline just before just before quali started, and I was doing 47.6s quite comfortably. And I thought, maybe I'll just back it off a little bit. I probably won't have Ken. And then I butchered my first lap and just absolute panicked myself into pieces in the second lap. But yeah, it worked out nicely. I don't know why Ken dropped back so quickly. He was in Discord a little while ago, but I didn't get to hear what happened in his race. But when Gamble got past him, I kind of just thought I'd stay behind the two of them and just fuel save and, kind of waited out till the end and have a good fight then, because we've just, we've had so many safety cars this season, and all of a sudden I noticed Scotty like literally leaping away from Ken, so I put a pretty ambitious move on him and chased Scott down. And yeah, I don't know, it's one of those things when you don't have safety cars to spice it up in a fixed setup series. You the car that's sitting back just sits in the draft, saves fuel, and I just saved so much fuel behind him that even by the time he let me pass, I don't think there was ever, that was almost no mistakes, no safety car. That was almost the race done at that point.
In terms of things, did he force your hand a little bit, which we haven't really seen? Like up until this point of the season, you've sort of been going very, very long in terms of strategy, going, I want to book the fastest lap. I want to put an absolute stamp on everything I'm absolutely doing tonight. But Scott came at you in one of the stages there throughout the race, and you sort of went, that was the first time we've ever seen you undercut from that sort of a position.
Yeah, it was an interesting one. I had a look at the setup just before the race started because I didn't really know what I wanted to do. So mostly what I've tried to do is just split the race, or at least try to keep the setup level with the starting fuel that we've run. And we had off the top of my head, we had a fuel drop of about 100 liters in this race. And because we started with 80, I didn't want to run too, or at least put too much fuel in that second stop, because all I was going to end up doing was having to put like 30 liters in at the end or 20 liters in at the end, and I just didn't know what the car was going to do. It'd been set up, Jamie had set it up with 80 liters, and then all of a sudden you go chuck 60 liters out. You just don't know what it's going to end up doing. So yeah, I ended up putting 60 liters in. I used JRT when Scott went in. I used JRT just to make sure I'd come out somewhere near him. And that was kind of what dictated it. So yeah, he kind of forced my hand going in a little bit early. I didn't expect him to put that early in the first stint, and it kind of just allowed me to follow him, to be honest. I knew I had saved more fuel than him, so it was kind of just use JRT to make sure I've got the right amount of fuel that I can catch him on my outlaps and in his draft if I needed to, or just blow past him. So relatively boring. The pace he had in that last stint, it would have been great if he had in the middle, because I think we would have had a good race together. I don't know if he just had a poor middle stint.
Mate, in terms of things, it's been an interesting season. Am I coming through? Yep. Oh, yeah, I'm coming through now. It's been an interesting season up and down the season. You sound like you've had fun. Every time we've spoken to you, there's been a couple little qualms here and there, but you seem more comfortable. You seem more happy with things now. All things considered, you sound happy here, and I get the feeling we'll see you back again next season.
Yeah, absolutely. You always have fun on the sim, and particularly like this stage of my life now, it's a little bit of an escape from what's a busy personal life and a busy business life at the moment. So it's always good fun getting on the sim, and you always have fun. I'm the first to admit that I enjoy getting hot and heated in the race. I think it's quite fun to have those heated moments and in the heat of the moment, and provided you're not killing anyone with saying anything ridiculously stupid, I think it certainly adds a little bit of spice, and hopefully nobody takes too much offense. But yeah, I'm certainly having fun. I'm looking forward to coming back next season. The challenge for me now is I know I can't string 10 rounds together or even 9 rounds together just the way personal life tends to go. So I kind of come at it every race, go, let's have a crack, let's try win tonight, and let's just have a lot of fun. But it's one of those benefits of not really being in the championship fight, and that you can effectively just come in, and if you want to start at the back and have a great time and go out for the win. And like in Nürburgring, just put down stonkers every lap because I enjoy driving the track. Or here, just try something different with strategy. So yeah, certainly having fun. I wish I had more time in the sim. I wish I could have go do some more competitive stuff, but for the time being, it's certainly ticking the happy box.
Mate, in terms of things, thanks you once again for chatting to us. The floor is all yours to thank the sponsors make it possible.
Yeah, thank you. Just my sponsor, Barry Manon here in New Zealand, Manon Racing Products. And then my team, DPR. Big thank you to Andrew Dyson, who was helping me strat tonight. Thank you, boy. And then just a huge shout out to Ricky Hyde, who jumped in Discord with us tonight, and I believe he's had his best race of the season. So big well done to him. Thanks to Bruce and Nashi for keeping me company, and then RaceKraft for jumping in and sponsoring vets, and of course you guys, you've done a great job with the broadcast the whole season. You've made it bloody interesting. We'll miss you behind the mic next season, Scotty, but I believe you'll be on the other side of the hammer and tongs, sorting out the bad behaviour. So I look forward to that, man.
mate, can I just chalk you in for a drive-through penalty now? Is that what we're saying?
Let's do it, man. I'm happy. as long as you let me have a little tanty on the radio without giving me a warning, you can do what you want, man.
Thank you very much. That absolutely will not fly, mate. I am a stickler for comms. So.
Oh damn.
Yeah. It's one of those things that grinds my gears because it's so easy to let it go and get out of control. And it's so easy to pull it back in. So I stick very easily. So anyway, thank you very much for your time as always, Darren. It's been a pleasure chatting, mate. We'll let you go. Get to bed. It's nearly 1 a.m. over there again, mate. So go and get some rest up.
Thanks, gents. Appreciate it. I love you a long time. See you next season.
Yeah. And finally, Mez, we're going to talk to provisional champion because we don't have a ruling on it at this stage. So all we're going to say is that as our numbers have it, we are talking to your back-to-back defending champion, the driver of the number 21, Tally. That battle with Ricky Hyde, how were the nerves? Did you know that was potentially going to be for a championship?
I knew that if I didn't pass him, I wasn't going to win the championship. I wasn't 100% sure if I passed him if I would, because I was considering other things, like he could have had the fastest lap, he could have had, I didn't know if he had led a lap, I didn't know if he had incidents or anything like that, but I knew I was out if I didn't make that pass, and my nerves were shot. Like, I think my heart was 100 mile an hour, and like, I think he practically gave me the position, and then I choked it basically, and then he's like, I think he got pretty excited after that and wanted to battle hard, which was good fun. I want to race people hard, but yeah, my nerves were really hard. Oh, heart rate harder. Yeah.
Mate, I can feel it coming oozing off of you, if you will, mate. In terms of things, talk us through your night, because it started off on a big down. That qualifying just oozed of, I guess, has it been a nervous night from the get-go?
A little bit. I've never raced this track before, and I didn't put in the practice to reflect that, and I tried to make up for my lack of practice before the race. Normally I only put in like an hour and a half practice before a race, but I knew I was off pace, so I got on about 3.5 hours before the race, probably about 3.5 hours before the race, and I was continuously doing laps. Like, I would have got in probably 70 odd laps beforehand, and I think I just overdid it. I was like fatigued and I was stressed. Like, there was pressure there to perform well. I was on a better lap and I off-tracked it at the end on my first lap, and then on my second lap I looked at the time when I left the pits and I barely had enough time to do an out lap, so I had to actually push on my out lap, and then I sort of make mistakes almost every single corner. One mistake just led into another and I was way off the pace. I was like, the worst place to start on the track was in the middle of the field, and I was honestly contemplating just starting in the pits because I was terrified that I was just going to get destroyed in those opening laps. But I'm glad I stuck to the proper start.
Well, I mean, talk about it. That turn 3, I mean, you went around the outside at turn 3. You just picked the right lane. I guarantee you, when you come through turn 3 and you were looking to the right-hand side, it would have been, oh my God, there's a car there. Where did that car come from? So that absolutely could have been night over then and there. In terms of things at the moment, mate, so it sits down. Have you settled yet? Was there anyone sitting there on Discord talking you through that sort of thing? Was there anyone calming you down? What was the support like over there?
I haven't been in Discord all season. I've typically just raced on my own. I haven't had a spotter since I first injured my wrist at the start of last year. And that was only because I was under a lot of pressure and I couldn't do my fuel or anything. But yeah, normally I'm just on my own, so I was just trying to work all the numbers in my head. I was sitting there at the end of the race, like almost trying to count championship points, because I was like, oh, I think if I catch him, I could be in it. So I was pushing pretty hard, but yeah, it was, I don't know, it was a fun race. I really enjoyed it. I don't have as much fun when I start right up the front, but yeah, that was really exciting at the start.
Mate, in terms of things now, you've gone back to back. You know, you've gone season 17, season 18, defending champion. The next one, I bet if I'm going to win another champion, you're just sitting there going, please don't let it come down to the last race. Please don't do that again. My heart can't take it.
I'm probably not going to stress about the championship next season. I want to go out there and just race hard for wins. Sometimes when you're thinking about the championship too much, it just starts seeming like a bit of work. Whereas I just want to take it race by race next season and push for everything. Like if I think I'm going to qualify second, I'll stop and reset the lap and go again. I just want to do the best I can. I want to go out there and race like Scott and Darren, who are driving phenomenally. I need to step up if I want to race those guys. So yeah, I think season 3 we might be getting the new car if we're lucky. Then I might consider going for the championship then of the new car.
In terms of things, I've just had a ruling come in from Race Control, by the way. So I've got news, ladies and gentlemen. It is my distinct pleasure for the final time for now to announce your V8 Veteran Split 1 champion. Confirmed from Race Control that there are no overruling in terms of incident points. Tally, you did it, mate. So it is confirmed. It is locked in. Congratulations, mate. Wins it on a dead heat, on a tie, on a countback. Do you think that a tie on points sort of brings everything to a close nice and like, you sit there and you go, look, a tie is probably the way that should have ended?
I feel for Kenneth because I understand what happened to him. I think the same may have happened to me in my first season. I had a similar incident. I would have rather cleared him by a couple of points or something, so that ruling wasn't a factor. But yeah, I'll take the win. But yeah, I've got to give a big shout out to Ken. He's been driving awesome this season. I think this is the best version of him, like racing for a championship I've ever seen, and I hope he keeps his chin up and comes back next season and keeps at it, because he's driving great. He's fast every round, and he's I think he's been in the top 4 all season or something. So yeah, it was very hard to beat him this season.
Mate, in terms of things now, it's a little bit of a relax, a little bit of a settle back in. Obviously, there's more to come from your point of view, but 2 championships on the bounce. Confidence is high. You're heading into Logitech next week. Do you think you've got what it takes to qualify for Logitech next week? Oh, sorry, my apologies. You don't need to anymore. My apologies. You've won the direct invite. So Logitech next week is now educational. It's really just a practice race, will you, before the shootout for Logitech?
For me, I want to find out details on the prize. If I qualify for the Logitech and the actual qualifiers, does that reward go down to Ken? Because if it does, I'll try my best to qualify through that series and have Ken come through with me if I can, but I'm not sure. If not, I'll just be having fun.
Don't quote me on it, but this conversation has come up in East Coast. I believe it does. So don't quote me on it, but I remember a conversation in East Coast about it, because obviously there's 2 drivers that are currently up front that have auto qualified, and my understanding is it goes down to the next person behind. But obviously don't quote me on it, but that's what I've heard.
That's the difference between auto qualification and actually qualifying, right? So through points, there's a little bit of a difference. Anyway, that's something to be debated. Anyway, Mike, I want to give the floor to you, because I know we've spoken a fair bit over probably the last 6 months or so. Like you said, you've had a lot going in your personal life over the last 6, 8, 12 months. A lot of changes for you. It's come out on top. It's made you a better driver. You're happy. You're driving well at the moment, mate. So the floor is all yours to thank those that make it possible.
I'd just like to thank the guys at Altus. They helped me become a better driver, and the sponsors that come with Altus, Logitech, Altus Engineering, RaceTech New Zealand, and VRS. And just a big shout out to everyone behind the series. I've said it a million times, I think, but yeah, this is such a fun series to be involved in, and it's so good for everyone involved. So thanks for all the hard work that everyone puts in, and thanks to all the other competitors that make these races so much fun. I had a blast tonight.
Mate, thank you very much for joining us throughout the season along. It's been a pleasure chatting to you each and every week, and I'll be seeing you again next season in a different capacity, but Mez won't. So, mate, from us to you, from us to everyone that's raced as part of this series, we want to say a big shout out, big thank you as well. The caliber and the talking and the chatter and the emphasis of this league is just different. It's unlike anything else I've ever raced in, mate. So, big shout out to you, and you're a big part of that. So, thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.
Righto, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to bring us to a close in terms of things for season number 18 for your RaceKraft V8 veterans. Qualifying now begins, and that's the next marker that a lot of the drivers will be looking at. For the top 20 in terms of points, they're automatically qualified back. For Michael Taliancic, one way or another, it looks like he's going to be on the path to the Logitech Pro Invitational Series. That was what was on the cards for this season. Next season, who knows who will be your winner? Will Darren Love finally put enough races together in a row to win a championship? Does Scott Gamble do the same? Does he surge back to his ultimate best? Or is Ken Latta finally able to stick that big old one up next to his name? Does Fishy Motorsports find itself a V8 Veterans Championship? All those things to come for season number 19. Finally, our final word of the night. It has been my absolute pleasure over the last year to be broadcasting V8 Veterans. I can tell you I've looked forward to this over every week of that journey. I've got tears actually in my eyes at the moment, Mez, because I enjoy this series like I enjoy no other series. There is nothing else for me that replaces this. The standard's a little bit higher in some of the other leagues, yes, sure, but it's the comradeship, it's everything that goes on in and around this league, and I've thoroughly enjoyed a year's worth of racing. It's got me back to really, really enjoying my commentary, enjoying everything about sim racing. You got anything to add to that?
No. Yeah, look, I've only done 2 seasons, but look, it's been an absolute blast. Like, wanted to get back into commentary just to have another crack at it, and yeah, I feel very honoured and privileged that Jay gave me this spot, and yeah, I'm glad people have enjoyed it. I'm probably not the best commentator. Thankfully, I can be carried by someone who I think is probably one of the best commentators in. Yeah, I'll give you a compliment right at the end, but no. To be alongside you, who I think you're honestly probably one of the best commentators that we have in this Australia NZ at the moment. So thanks for having me along, and thanks for everyone who's enjoyed the broadcast, and I hope you have enjoyed it having me here.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us throughout the season. A big shout out to everyone that makes it possible, from everyone sitting at home that watches along. Tonight was a big night. It was a fantastic night. It was a pleasure to have you guys along the way. To everyone that's been chatting to me each and every week before the races, I want to say a big shout out to a couple of different teams in particular. The ERT team, can't say enough about those guys because they talk to me each and every week. There's a good laugh to be had with Dan Hall, Chad Lewis, and Brenton O'Brien before the race, and they always give me fun little tidbits to talk about. To the JWM guys, Jeff, Travis, Jason, all running together. Thank you very much to those guys in particular. To all the Chubby Buns guys, I didn't get a Chubby Bun whilst I was in Sydney. We didn't have time. It didn't line up. I will be back in Sydney. I will be going to see Jim Caponis at the Punch Bowl Chubby Buns, so that will happen in the future. Just hasn't happened yet. To Dan Yeaman, who's been on the broadcast for that entire journey. Thank you very much, Dan. I know you're coming back, I think, at this rate for next season, so thank you very much. To everyone from the league admins, to John Van Ree, to Scotty Van Loon, to everyone that's a part of this league and makes it all possible. Big shout out, big thank you to you guys, because I think you do a phenomenal job here. And just manage the community in a really straightforward way. It's all very open, and I love what you guys do here. Don't give it up. To the RaceKraft guys, to John Lee, who's jumped on board to sponsor this season, can't say enough, can't say big enough thank you. To Player One Sim Gear, Nova Sim Sports, Logitech G, Parramatta ISU, can't say big enough thank you to all the sponsors, because I think they get their values worth, to be honest, here. So I think thank you very much to all of those guys. And yeah, like I said, to the fans watching along at home, bye for now, not forever. Next season, I'll be issuing the Naughty Boy points for Split 1, so you will see hear from me in a different capacity. But we'll see you all then. And see you on another sim racing broadcast for SimSpeed. Thank you very much. We'll see you next time, guys. Have fun. See you soon.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.